Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live, broadcasting worldwide. Thank you so much for joining us on this live Wednesday, the 24th day of January, 2018. We're going to be live here for the next 4 hours, and then Owen Schroyer, Roger Stone, and others take over for The War Room. This is, again, InfoWars Live is what I call it. It's the Alex Jones Show. I've been on air here in this very slot now for 20 years, been on air for almost 23 total, and I've never been living through crazier, more interesting, more tumultuous times, as I know almost all of you would agree. I don't think anybody would disagree that the world isn't more crazy, more wild than it's ever been. More happens in a week than used to happen in a whole month. It is just crazy. And all the awakening that's happening. Here's a London Telegraph article. The world must wake up to the threat from tech giants and their worldwide authoritarian takeover. Where have I heard that before? That's what they're doing. In fact, I never even got to it yesterday. Will you guys pull me yesterday's stack? There was an article out of Breitbart where Rupert Murdoch, who's got the president's ear now, is lobbying for internet censorship even worse than what we previously heard from. Because, see, it's not just the big tech giants. It's News Corp jockeying in to control the internet. It is just a mess. So I'm going to get to that coming up because all this other news hasn't distracted from it, but it's really central. It's really important. You got the big telecoms want to take over. You got the big tech giants want to take over. And they all want monopolies. And those deals are being made right now. And as much as I like seeing the head of CNN out, we knew that was coming, and that's all part of the AT&T Time Warner merger. And so you're going to see some different behavior now out of CNN, or you're going to see, as Murdoch told the president, they are going to spin it off and sell it to Bezos, or Soros is the word. Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. And this is Rupert Murdoch talking to the president daily, even though he supported Hillary Clinton over the president and tried to stop the president. He is the biggest sycophant, brown-noser on the planet. You got to hand it to him. At almost 90 years old, though. He's smart, and he works really hard. But can you just leave the internet alone? Can you just leave our free speech alone? He's asking Facebook to completely censor everything but mainstream news off and not even let you post it. And then he wants to make Facebook pay to then have access to what he calls real news, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and Fox. Wow. So again, we got the left trying to take over the web, and they're the big, powerful group that's close to doing it worldwide with George Soros and the UN. They're the big issue. They're the big cyclops we're facing. But behind that comes Rupert Murdoch and everybody else. It just never ends. So that's coming up. But the big news, when we return, ladies and gentlemen, just want to get it out there that we're going to cover that today. The big news is on drudgereport.com, and it just fits to all their public statements. Report, missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against the president. And it's top linked up on drudgereport.com. So we're going to be covering that in great detail and all the other news that's on drudgereport.com. Good one. Evidence suggests massive scandal brewing at FBI. Whistleblowers. Secret Society held off-site meetings. Mystery. 5 months of missing messages. Agents texted about deleting text. They're caught doing it. Total absconding. Total obstruction. Total racketeering. Red-handed. Open and shut. Threats of violence. Knives out at the Bureau. Poll. 58% think FBI hiding something. Collusion course. Congress tightening noose around an investigation. Mueller leaks obstruction witnesses. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on like Donkey Kong. And it's all coming up straight ahead on the other side of this global transmission. Oh, an Alaska earthquake. Fear grows from Mount St. Helens volcano eruption after mega massive 8.2. That's ultra huge. We'll be back. Infowars.com, newswars.com. It's Wednesday, the 24th day of January, 2018. I am your host, Alex Jones. We're going to be here for the next 4 hours live in the War Room with Owen Schroyer. Paul Watson with huge breaking news joins us at the bottom of the hour from London, England. Dan Lyman, our Infowars.com reporter in Europe, is at Davos. We have footage and articles he's filed. He's going to be joining us via video Skype from Davos. So we did get somebody to Davos. I'm like, who are we going to send we're down to the wire here. And then like, wait, we have Dan Lyman. He's in Switzerland. So Dan Lyman is going to be joining us. Great reporter coming up. Here's a story from Clifford Cunningham. CFR, global order in distress. That's their words at Davos as Trump passes 1 year in office. Their authoritarian world government is in big trouble. We'll be talking about that in the third hour today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the big news from DrudgeReport.com. Good one. Evidence suggests massive scandal brewing at the FBI. New York Post. Whistleblower. Secret Society held off-site meetings. Pajamas Media. Mystery. 5 months of missing messages. The Hill. Agent texted about deleting text. That would be absconding. That would be obstruction. That would be racketeering, and if indeed that's true. Threats of violence. Infowars.com. Knives out for the Bureau. Poll. 58% think FBI hiding something. And that's with one of those skewed partisan polls. More like 70% obviously have IQs above 70% and understand what's going on here. The entire house of cards fell a month and a week ago, about 5 weeks ago, when those text messages began to come out of colluding and secretly meeting and meeting with McCabe. And then drip, drip, drip the next week. Oh, and you are setting up an insurance policy to stop the president-elect. Oh, and then you're talking about deleting text messages, and there's secret societies, and you're talking about we need to take this piece of crap out. That is all beginning to come to the surface, and they're in full panic mode. And then you've got Nunes's memo, the 4 pages, on the secret FISA court rulings on the spying on Trump that shows from the congressional sources and others that I've talked to and that Jack Posobiec's talked to and that Roger Stone's talked to that clearly shows them lying to Congress when they said that Obama and others weren't involved getting the FISA memo and getting the FISA ruling for the wiretaps that they did after they were already spying on the president. And the media has successfully confused people as usual. William Binney headed up the National Security Agency in operations. I was already going to get into our sources and what is in the memo and what was going to next come out. Then he sends us this, and he says, to his knowledge, he was just pointed out to him yesterday, this had just come out, and it is Memorandum, Opinion, and Order, top secret, United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and is the 99-page document that is the 2-year history of this, but about 10% is blacked out. And Nunes is talking about the secret sections of the FISA memo. But no one had ever reported on this except for a press release when it first came out. So it was new yesterday because it was getting attention. It's like if you found where a dinosaur fell down 25 million years ago and died, but you find its skull while you're digging with a backhoe in your backyard, you just discovered the T-Rex. The media totally ignored it and said, oh, it's old news, and didn't even point out it's the main memo that Nunes is talking about having damning information that's still classified. So think about that. It's the classic thing with these aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along, move along. When they're driving into Los Eisley Spaceport, and these aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids we're looking for, and just move along, move along. This is as big as the WikiLeaks ever was about the illegal spying. Totally bombshell. The FISA court pushes back and says it's illegal what's happening to the president-elect, and then candidate Trump. You think that's big news. Oh, just that's Alex Jones. That's old news. Just, you know, move along, nothing there. That's the same crazy guy that tells you, you know, the televisions and smartphones have embedded microphones and cameras and are watching you. And then, of course, decades later, they admit it. So getting into the big news here, report missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against Trump. Paul Joseph Watson article. Then he gets into where Phil Mudd, the head of counterterrorism from the FBI, formerly under Mueller, formerly also at the CIA as the head of counterterrorism, brought over by Obama to the FBI, saying on TV, we're going to kill the president. and hashtag hunt Republicans and all this endless violence talk and trying to target Scalise and the Republican leadership. We actually have Republican Freedom Caucus individuals and people like Rand Paul and others and Scalise that are standing up to deep state, that are trying to restore the republic, that do have honor. And they've been shot at. And I'll never forget, Wolf Blitzer had a friend on of the man that shot those people at the baseball practice. And the friend said, he's not a bad man. He's not a killer. He's not a psycho. He was standing up against politics that are evil. And Wolf Blitzer nods his head and says, thank you. That's who they are, trying to get crazy people to go out and do this. There it is. CNN pushes claim GOP shooter wasn't evil. Infowars.com. So Paul has all that linked in the article. Of course they're in private messages. If they're on TV saying the government's going to kill Trump, that's bold. You know they're doing it in private, and that's reportedly what's going on. That's on drudgereport.com. We're going to cover it. But first, let's get to this clip here. Senator Ron Johnson on alleged secret society. They were holding secret meetings off-site. That's a fact. They call it a secret society because that's what a secret group inside a group is a clique, a cabal, a conspiracy. So here is the senator breaking down these bombshell developments.
What this is all about is further evidence of corruption, more than bias, but corruption at the highest levels of the FBI and that secret society. We have an informant that's talking about a group that were holding secret meetings off-site. There's so much smoke here. There's so much suspicion.
Let's stop there. A secret society, secret meetings off-site of the Justice Department.
Correct.
And you have an informant saying that.
Yes.
Is there anything more about that?
No, we have to dig into it. This is not a distraction. Again, this is bias, potentially corruption at the highest levels of the FBI that is now investigating. And now and by the way, Robert Mueller used to run the FBI. He is in no position to do an investigation over this kind of misconduct. So I think at this point in time, we probably should be looking at a special counsel to undertake this investigation. But Congress is going to have to continue to dig.
Yeah, that's not enough to then play political football. We need grand juries to start indicting these FBI agents now. They obviously have good FBI agents and others that were witness to all this. And a lot of them obviously have copies of the text that are now going to Congress. We have reached the most dangerous point in this country's history, in my opinion, right now. Because we have a serious embedded criminal cabal, a La Cosa Nostra, our thing. It's not an Italian conspiracy, but it's the same thing. A secret society, our little thing of less than 30 FBI agents and Justice Department people at the top that were so arrogant and so crazy, they thought they could get away with saying the American people are Russian agents and Russia runs everything and Facebook's banning people by the thousands an hour. It's all over the news. Paul Watson's coming up about it. First they sent notices saying, you're a Russian bot. We have evidence. People go, what? Yeah, don't criticize any Democrats or you're banned. And then they ban you as a Russian agent. That's beyond book burning, beyond McCarthyism. And it's happening. They're making their move like they're not giving up. So as far as I'm concerned, the safest thing to do would just to be have Trump just go ahead and have the Army go ahead and arrest these people. That's all. We're in a red alert right now. We need to have the Army just arrest these people. A lot of people that have been listening to the show for 20 years, they go, Alex, in the last segment, you just called for the president, if need be, to use the armed services to arrest the leaders of a criminal cabal openly plotting the president's assassination, the overthrow of our electoral process, the takeover of our elections, and a one-party system to be formed where all political dissent against the leftist, globalist Soros program is outlawed. And yes, that is the only sure, strong response. And then once that group has been removed within the Constitution and Bill of Rights, we revert right back to the rule of law. But there is COG provisions, and I guarantee you, George Washington, if stuff like this was going on, would go arrest the people that were doing it. Because they're not trying to get elected. They're not trying to change laws or win in court. They are plotting inside the government to defraud voters, call all the voters agents of a foreign power, intimidate them, arrest them, threaten them, censor them, sabotage the recovery of the economy. And it just goes on and on from there. And it's extremely frustrating to watch this happen and hear about a special counsel that's going to deal with it maybe. And then they just cover up what goes on over and over again. Or we need grand juries, state and federal, to start indicting these people. That's another way to do it from the grassroots. But you've got them in their text messages, it's now coming out from Congress, saying, we erased most of the text, don't worry. And the informants that have come forward have said it's secret societies, they're meeting off-site, they're plotting violence against the president, and I can turn on the former head of counterterrorism, those are the people that send out the teams to kill people, send out the Navy SEALs and everybody, saying we're going to kill the president. And you already had the Democrats attack the Republican leadership at the baseball game and try to decapitate it, with the New York Times writing a blueprint on where they are and that there's no security. I mean, this is incredible what's going on. So they're on television saying they're going to kill our president, they're going to have Homeland Security under their control, federalize all 50 states, and federalize elections and let illegal aliens vote, overthrow the country completely, and then arrest conservatives, libertarians, Christians, you name it. They've announced it. And you go to rallies in Austin, LA, New York, almost every person we talked to said, we're getting guillotines ready, we're going to kill conservatives, we're going to kill Trump and his family, we're going to kill you. In fact, I'll play that next segment. I never got to that yesterday. And they're all nodding. We're going to kill the conservatives and the Christians. We're going to kill them. And these are marches with hundreds of thousands of people nodding their head, we're going to kill you. Now, they're obviously not going to kill anybody. But they are on board for it. They are scum of the earth. We have hardcore, real authoritarianism here that wants to overthrow the country and that wants to arrest and torture and kill its opposition. Yeah, that guy was just screaming F you and spitting on us and everything. I'm going to play the women saying they're going to guillotine everybody and have a communist utopia when we come back. So understand, if you just tuned in, all I'm saying is this is the climate we've now reached, where we have to have serious discussions about what are we going to do if they kill the president, and then order their local governments and their local federal branches to come arrest thousands of resistance leaders. Because we are the resistance to the foreign mega banks that took the country over. We are the resistance to globalism, communism, socialism, the godless heathen that want to ban Christianity, that want to bring in radical Islam. We are the resistance to the overthrow of the West. And we are legitimately trying to have prosperity, legitimately trying to have free, open societies, legitimately trying to be tolerant. Everybody knows I'm a libertarian, Trump's a libertarian. We are very tolerant, open people. We are good people. I am a good person. I care about everybody, no matter what color you are, where you came from. If you want to be a hardworking, good person, I love you. I want prosperity. And they have congressional hearings saying, censor me, shut me up, I'm a Russian agent. Those are the dangerous enemies, folks. They're the ones starting all this. They want to arrest everybody. That's what Hitler did. That's what Stalin did. That's what Lenin did. That's what Mao did. That's what Fidel Castro did. That's what Hugo Chavez did. And it always leads to total collapse. Either they get contained in their own command and control country and it falls apart within a decade, or they start attacking their neighbors and people organize and kick the tyrants' butts. And Peter Schiff and Dianne Feinstein and all these people are sick, evil authoritarians that have had their hands around this country's throat, holding our economy underwater for too long. And they want to bring in authoritarianism and have staged elections. All 50 attorney generals, including 20-something Democrats, wrote letters last year to Obama and then to Trump saying, please reverse the executive orders and laws federalizing the election. Something Trump hasn't done yet, by the way, even though he was critical of what Obama did in the 11th hour. And you've got Newsweek saying Russian bots might be behind hashtag release the memo. Oh, see? Oh, and I bet Russian bots are behind the memo too itself. that is a boil down of what's in the classified areas of the FISA memorandum that no one gave any attention until we put it up yesterday. And we said, Nunes has got his own memo with this and a blueprint coming out, but this is a big chunk of it, and the media spun that and misdirected. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. Just like The Hill is reporting that Trump blamed Samsung for deleting 50,000 emails. Trump said that these corrupt agents have deleted them. We have witnesses, and they invert reality and go, look, Trump blames Samsung. Remember how they all made it about who broke in and got the WikiLeaks of Podesta instead of what did Podesta do? Just in, Trump blamed Samsung for missing text messages between FBI agents critical of Trump. The Hill, there's his tweet. Where are the 50,000 important text messages between the FBI lovers, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok? Blaming Samsung. Yes, they blame Samsung, saying it must be an accident. No, they did. That Samsung hard codes it. But again, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Play the clip.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
And here it is right here, folks. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, memorandum, opinion, and order, declassified. And then Nunes has got the blacked out parts that he says are even more damning. And the media just says, oh, that's old news. Don't look at it. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. Doesn't matter what William Binney says. He just used to run the NSA. He's a moron, according to them. CNN, they know everything. Media Matters, run by George Soros, they said that it's not even real. Well, yes, sir, Mr. Soros, sir. Oh, and CNN says he was never a Nazi collaborator, even though he wrote a book admitting it and was on TV saying it. Democrats in Congress, they're already calling it a civil emergency. They're already calling for the president to be removed and martial law declared. Documents came out a few weeks ago from the whole Soros operation, trying to trigger martial law back in 2015, causing a race war. They failed. But now we learn about criminal cabals organizing lies to blame not just the president, but the American people for being Russian agents, to then try to overthrow the election, hold the new national election that under Obama's executive order will be controlled by Homeland Security. We'll never have a real election again. They're trying to bring in a permanent deep state dictatorship. So if there aren't instant indictments by grand juries with these open and shut cases against the Clinton cabal inside the FBI, if we don't see grand juries take action immediately, what are we supposed to do? Sit here and wait for them? Because DrudgeReport.com has the Infowars.com report that Paul Watson's about to break down. Missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against Trump. And then Paul links to all the times the Democrats are saying, let's kill the president. Let's go out and shoot up their baseball games. Hashtag hunt Republicans. So Paul Watson joins us to talk about this, but the question is, we're already in a civil emergency. I don't want to have to see another branch of the government working with the states go arrest the Democrat Party leadership, because when you tend to go into these type of third world crises, historically, the group stopping one coup becomes its own coup. But when you're faced with the real coup, what do you do? So Paul Joseph Watson joins us from London, England, to give us his latest take on all of these incredible revelations. I mean, is the house of cards falling? Drudge Report has the headline, you know, FBI collision course as the wheels completely go off. Collision course, Congress tightening noose on investigation. Well, I mean, it's not just the investigation, it's the bold, crazy fraud of what they tried, Paul. Just like you got letters from Twitter saying, we may ban you, you're a Russian agent. And what, hundreds of thousands of other people. And now I'm told today they're deleting the accounts, saying we're all Russian agents. I mean, this is an incredible attempted takeover by the multinational globalists who are the outside power that have hijacked our country. We try to take it back. You try to take yours back with Brexit. And they say that the Brexit's run by the Russians. This is incredible. Paul Watson, what point in history are we at right now?
Well, we're at a monumental point in history, Alex, and you can tell that because they're panicking so much. You can see it in Davos, where it's, Merkel and the Prime Minister of India panicking that populism is on the rise. They're contriving fake moral panics about the post-truth world and fake news, which are, again, just an excuse to distract from the fact that they're losing control of the narrative. They're losing the power to manufacture consent. So they have to come up with all these reasons as to why that's not really happening. And it's really the evil Russians and the people in America who voted for Trump, the deplorables. But with this new development, Alex, and the articles up on Drudge, as you said, they really are panicking because it seems as though after Peter Strzok got exposed, who of course was the top FBI investigator, who said they needed an insurance policy in case Trump won. Of course, some of the messages, the thousands of messages that are missing were his messages. It seemed the secret society that we're now all talking about started to panic after he got exposed. And now apparently they're all using burner phones. So they're all really paranoid about anything they say being exposed. Because as you probably saw and are going to play later, Congressman Ron Johnson went on Fox News last night and said they've got a whistleblower who says that they're holding secret meetings off-site. Now, isn't that interesting, Alex? And you're rolling the clip right now. Because the same source that said these text messages contain violent threats against Donald Trump, the same source said that these secret off-site, secret society meetings were taking place a month before it was in the news. So if you want to look at this report and claim that this is fake news or whatever, the source of it was way ahead of this story a month ago, and in fact, more than a month. It's a guy who goes by the moniker Thomas Paine on Twitter, got a huge following, a big intelligence website. He tweeted, bearing in mind that Ron Johnson just revealed this last night on Fox News, that this secret society was having off-site meetings. This source tweeted, which is the source of this article that's on Drudge, quote, what I hear about private meeting away from FBI HQ by high-ranking FBI agents trying to get their stories and alibis straight. So he's talking about off-site meetings involving FBI top brass a month before it was in the news, 2.5 months before it was in the news. He's talking about FBI secret societies. So he was blowing the whistle on this from his sources weeks and weeks before it became public. And that is the same source that says some of these missing text messages contain violent threats against President Trump. So he's been right on this very issue of FBI secret societies, proven correct. A month ago, he foresaw this because he had the intel before even Congress had it. And that's the basis of the story that we're now putting out today.
Well, we also have Jim Jordan and others that weeks before info comes out, they say, let me just have a hypothesis here. Let's just say you've got McCabe meeting with Strzok and all these other people together, and then they use the dossier to go get the fake warrant. And then, of course, he already has the documents. He releases them a week later, 2 weeks later. They're already doing that, and they're already telegraphing to our sources that these people were so stupid, they're even talking about how they deleted text. That's in the news. They're even talking about previously how they're going to stop Trump. And so it's very open and shut. And I guess the Democrats are just going to hold on and force all of this to be brought out. I think we're in a very dangerous point, though, Paul. The rats are cornered. The entire Comey, Mueller, Clinton crime cabal is set to be brought down by FBI agents who are now informing to Congress. I don't see how they get out of this. They push so far trying to remove Trump that you can't just let them go off into abstention now. They've got to be indicted. They've got to go to prison.
Exactly, and Republican congressmen have alluded to that fact. Here's another thing, Alex. You know, people are calling up Adam Schiff saying, oh, I'm not a Russian bot, and it's all very funny and everything because, of course, we've seen the Twitter internal analysis. It wasn't Russian bots behind the release the memo hashtag. People should be calling up Trey Gowdy because Judge Napolitano made this point and nobody else has picked up on it. You can go on the House floor and reveal supposedly classified information and be protected under the Constitution because Dianne Feinstein did it in 2014 with the torture memos. So they will be completely protected if they reveal the details of this 4-page FISA memo, if they get in front of the House and do it tonight. So why isn't everybody calling Trey Gowdy and all these other Republican congressmen asking them to do that? I mean, they go on about it being worse than the KGB. If it's really that bad, surely in the interest of the American people, they need to go in front of Congress and reveal the details of it.
Paul, this is such an epic time to be alive, edge of our seats. But then first, Trump's a Russian, then Drudge is a Russian, then I'm a Russian, then you're a Russian, Roger Stone's a Russian. Now, I was reading, first it was 60,000. Now it's 200,000+ people have gotten emails from Twitter saying you're a Russian or you're a Russian bot. And this is really pissing people off. And new Twitter accounts that are just libertarian, Christian, conservative, pro-military, we're all being told we're Russian agents by Peter Schiff, who clearly wants to intimidate us into silence. I mean, how criminal is that?
Well, it's not only criminal, it's dangerous for the world. I mean, look at what's happening globally, Alex. Sweden and Estonia are sending out pamphlets to all their citizens, millions of people, saying prepare for war. This has made war with Russia infinitely more close, whereas, originally Trump was looking at a proper reset. This is endangering the planet because it's actually causing Trump to be more hawkish towards Russia just to prove he's not a Russian agent. So now, we're selling weapons to Ukraine. This is causing a massive destabilization across the world, and that's the bigger issue, I think, than just conspiracy theories about us.
Let's talk about that when we come back. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Paul Watson is my guest. Everyone knows that we warned of plans to instigate martial law using civil unrest by the Clintons and Obama. I first learned about that from the chief of police of San Antonio, who'd been in Army intelligence and then had people in the Army warn him about it, and that Clinton was using Delta Force to go around and get towns and cities ready for martial law. He was considering not leaving office. Then Obama continued the plan, and that's been mainstream news. So then people say, oh, but now you want President Trump to do something to the Clintons. Yeah, I don't want martial law over the country, over Congress, over anybody. We need to have the top cabal of the FBI and the Clintons and the rest of them, and Clapper and Brennan and all these other people that lie to Congress and are part of this cabal locked up until they can be tried by juries. They're dangerous. They're an organized crime syndicate just running around the worst I've ever seen. And they're paid off by the communist Chinese. They're arrogant. Phil Mudd should be in a jail cell right now. He is the former head of counterterrorism of the CIA and the FBI, an adjunct protege of Mueller, saying the government's going to kill this guy. And all this other, and he has so much anger for the president on TV, he starts spitting everywhere. And he's a guy that could get that kind of stuff done. It'd be like if you had a terrorist that had bombed, 50 buildings, and he was walking around saying, I'm going to blow up your school next week. He's a clear and present danger to everybody. And then Paul mentions top Marine Corps general said, get ready. We're in more danger of war now than ever. We're going to war. That was just a few weeks ago. And the Republican platform didn't say arm the western side of the Ukrainians, so they called that Russian meddling or helping the Russians. So now Trump sent a bunch of weapons over there. This is all out of control. We can put those headlines up on screen that we found. Top Democrats warn of ongoing attack. Found the headline during the break about the Republican platform. Again, no mention of arming the Ukrainians. But now all that's happened. U.S. troops are massing. Again, I'm going to find the article. Top Marine general says that he believes that the world is going to war. And then he says specifically with Russia because of all this when he visited troops on the Russian border. So we're going to put that headline up too. Paul Joseph Watson, you were getting into this. What do we do with this cabal?
Well, you're talking about the Russia thing again with the release the memo. MSNBC apparently just showing my tweets and your tweets saying that this is proof we're Russian bots and we're part of the Russian bot network because we tweeted the hashtag release the memo, even though the Daily Beast, again, which is hardly Trump sympathetic, is it? And Twitter's own internal analysis, we posted this today, has thus far found authentic American accounts and not Russian imposters or automated bots are driving the hashtag release the memo tag. There are no preliminary indications that the Twitter activity, either driving the hashtag or engaging with it, is either predominantly Russian. So that's Daily Beast, and it's Twitter's own internal analysis. That's not us saying that. Yet still MSNBC, apparently, from a message that somebody just sent me on Twitter, is throwing up my tweets and your tweets saying, look, this proves we're part of the Russian bot network. It's absolutely conspiracy theory. They accuse us of being conspiracy theorists. This is conspiracy.
But Paul, they said they intend to overturn the election, overturn the congressional elections. They federalized the elections under Obama. Trump hasn't reversed it. And they say they're going to arrest everybody. When you oppose the EU, they say you're a Russian agent. And now Germany wants to arrest people that oppose the EU. This is their excuse to come get us, buddy. They're serious.
They're really getting desperate. And as I mentioned before the break, you know, you've got the expansion of NATO. You got the arms sales to Ukraine. You've got neocons within the Trump administration that are trying to prove it's not, you know, a Russian proxy by becoming antagonistic towards Russia. And look at the effect. Estonia to issue how to prepare for war leaflets to 1.3 million citizens. You've got Sweden doing the same thing. Swedes told how to prepare for war as Russia fears grow. They've sent out these brochures to 4.7 million households, warning them for the first time in more than half a century of what they should do in the event of war.
And suddenly leftists all over the world hate Russia and want war with it because communists don't run it anymore and they don't get to stomp and murder and rape Christians anymore. You know, that's why Bernie Sanders, all of them would go there and have their honeymoons, because that's the place where they get to hurt the Christians. That's the place where they get to have power finally, and now it's not under their control anymore, Paul.
Well, exactly. Meanwhile, arming the worst jihadists in Syria that literally, you know, cut people's hearts out and eat them on camera, that's conservative.
Because they murder Christians.
Now, obviously, Estonia is a member of NATO. Under the treaty, the United States would have to defend it. This is what this is all leading to. This is the real danger. In fact, there's an article which you can talk about which really encapsulates it. A year ago, Maddow explained how MSM would use Russiagate to escalate Cold War. And they laid it out, and they give all the examples, you know, expanding NATO, a permanent military presence in Syria, assigning the neocon Russian hawk Kurt Volker as special representative to the Ukraine, shutting down a Russian consulate in San Francisco. They're doing all this to prove they're not Russian agents. And it's increasing the likelihood of World War III. It's incredible, Alex. This is the real danger. And then you go back to the so-called violent threats that were included in these missing FBI text messages. I mean, this is not an out-there proposition. You had BuzzFeed internal communications. We featured this back in May last year, where they were talking about Trump's assassination. You've had top London Times journalists wishing for the assassination of Trump. You had, I think it was a state senator in Missouri who said, quote, "I hope Trump is assassinated." They all talk like this. So why shouldn't we expect these antagonistic anti-Trump FBI agents to talk like this too? The question is whether it went beyond talk and something more dark, something more sinister, which is what Mudd talked about when he said, you know, oh, the government's just going to kill this guy. So how far along the path did it go? That's the question.
I'm really surprised that all these people saying kill the president are still walking around. I mean, the president has rights too, and I'm serious. These people are threatening all of us, our country, our recovery. I'm done. And here's another thing, Paul. Do they think they're really going to kill the president and then get away with it? Because I'm here to tell them that they should know that the military, former and current, has them in their sights right now. Don't these people get that the sleeping giant isn't asleep anymore, that this isn't a one-way street?
Well, you would think that would be one of the things that gave them pause for thought. Then you've got the media. Remember, before the election, the guy jumped up on stage and tried to attack Trump. Secret Service rushed around and dragged him away. The next day, he was up on CNN. They were lionizing him, giving him a platform to spread his hysterical message. So the media doesn't, like, if they did kill Trump, a lot of people in the media would openly celebrate it. The resistance, they'd be out on the streets, you know, with balloons and they'd be getting drunk. They'd love it. I mean, we've become so vulgar as a society. This is openly what people would embrace and welcome at this point.
And Paul, they admit they're trying to start a race war. It's not working, but they keep pushing it. Documents to tell plan for civil unrest and martial law in Baltimore. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Because I'm not somebody that wants to do offensive stuff. I mean, we're winning the info war here. And we're winning culturally, but they're not going to let us win. My gut tells me they're going to pull something big now that they're getting exposed with Russiagate. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I mean, you'd hope that we could just be the voice of reason and prevent anything like that happening. But they're so demented at this point. I've long predicted that one of these Antifa members, one of these SJWs, will go postal. And that happened, by the way. James T. Hodgkinson, that could have been a massacre way worse than it was, if not for responsible people with guns who stopped it. There was the Pier 39 terrorist in San Francisco over Christmas. That got glossed over, didn't it? This guy planned a massacre. You went on his Facebook page. It was all CNN, MSNBC, Antifa the whole way. Nobody even picked up on that. So you've got all these demented people on the fringes. Obviously, the vast majority of them aren't going to do anything. They can barely crawl out their pajamas. But some of them are actually psychotic and will kill large numbers of people and think that they're in the right for doing it because Trump is either a Russian agent or the new Hitler. And they've been fed that narrative, Alex, for the past 18 months.
That's
so
right, Paul, stay there.
Killing people, they're going to think they're the good guys.
Do 2 more segments with us because we got video that's on Infowars.com. When we come back, that gets into all this, their attack on free speech. CNN has like a mall area by the convention center in Atlanta. They banned a guy from wearing our CNN Infowars.com as fake news shirt. So that's coming up. By the way, get your CNN is fake news shirt at InfoWarsStore.com. We've had 8 different designs. 6 of them are sold out. There's 2 other CNN versions that we have at Infowars.com that are collector's editions. I believe that's one of our shirts. But regardless, they're all there, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. This thing's got hundreds of thousands of views just on one Facebook channel by them trying to ban it. The guy was at a boat show at the convention center, and then it's part of it, and he wanders over, and it's CNN property in this little mall area, and they throw him out for a speech, which is their right to do, but it's our right to show what incredible authoritarians they are. InfoWarsStore.com. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. Coming up in the next segment with Paul Watson, we're just going to get into the crazy climate as all the secret societies and Democrat cabals and their plans for violence begin to come out. FBI agents are set to testify to Congress. They're already informing on just the incredible corruption going on there and why Hillary was so arrogant. But video sent to us this morning that we've now posted to Infowars.com is from Carrie Leadingham, and it's already got 170,000 views. It's at CNN Center in Atlanta. Now, to explain this, it's their private property. They have a right to throw this guy out that Carrie posted video of this individual being thrown out. But he's simply wearing a CNN is fake news shirt.
This is what we wanted.
No, I'm going to leave. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny.
And he's simply wearing the CNN shirt. For radio listeners, I'm setting this up. And it's in a big kind of mall, kiosk, some restaurants, some shops, and then CNN's offices are up above, but it's CNN's property. They own that little slash kind of mall area as their kiosk CNN Center. And attached to it is the convention center where he was looking at the boat show. So they remove him out of there. Now, again, you hear about people wearing NRA shirts being removed from shopping malls as well. It shows the leftist authoritarianism. We were all enjoying the Atlanta boat show when we went for dinner break at CNN building. Got kicked out for a T-shirt on our friend. So there it is. I'm about to play the video and then get Paul Watson's take. Here it is.
We wanted to hear this.
So we just gotta wait there.
We wanted to hear this.
Let's get this on camera.
We wanted to hear this. This is what we wanted.
No, I'm going to leave. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny. So I'm getting kicked out for having a CNN shirt. Just to make sure everybody's clear. Make sure it's clear.
Unbelievable.
This is the country we're living in.
This is where we've come to.
What a joke.
Unbelievable.
So CNN has no ratings. They're falling apart. They're attached to the convention center. And people say, well, it's their property. No, I understand. But their anti-free speech is the point. And it just shows how the media is all into censorship. On the streets, Antifa will point guns at you if you try to go to the Austin Capitol for a memorial for a woman killed by an illegal alien who they set free. If you try to go online, they censor you. CNN puts out fake polls. They're in the WikiLeaks, giving Hillary the questions beforehand to Donna Brazile. I mean, it just shows their total culture, Paul.
Well, it's the total hostility to the First Amendment to freedom of speech. Like, that's an offensive T-shirt. I mean, who cares? Just they make more big. If the more a big deal they make out of it, the more it just reflects on themselves. I mean, CNN is a joke at this point. Even after the whole Trump was mentally deranged, he had dementia thing, was completely demolished, they were still on that, Alex. I mean, I can't get over that. Brian Stelter, who said it was reckless conspiracy theories to speculate on Hillary Clinton's health. Even after the doctor came out and said Trump was completely fine, he still said, no, this hasn't been resolved yet. So that's why they're fake news, because when their fake news narrative that Trump had dementia, that he was unfit, was completely debunked, they just kept on with it. So that's the essence of fake news. They got Jim Acosta. How can he still call himself a reporter? I mean, I don't pretend to be non-partisan, Alex, but people like him do. He's a far-left activist, as is virtually everyone that works
Wolf
there.
Blitzer, they're all on video at the DNC dancing and looking at Hillary like she's a rock star. And there's so many fake news things with Acosta, I don't know where to begin. I mean, he said Trump did not visit Congressman Scalise. They also said, again, that there was no Martin Luther King bust. When there's video, when they're in there with it. I mean, these people know they're liars, Paul.
And they had, like, a year ago, they probably had like 3 commentators who were vaguely pro-Trump. I think they just fired the last one. So it's like a complete echo chamber at CNN. Even for the back and forth of good TV, they don't want that anymore. No, they said socialism was cool, Alex. I mean, you covered that tweet? He was an environmental hero. He's a socialist before it was cool, talking about MLK. While Venezuelans are literally having to butcher zoo animals to stay alive, CNN is telling
they ate the zoo animals 4 years ago, Paul. They're basically eating dead people now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. I am your host, Alex Jones. Paul Watson's riding shotgun with us for another segment. Then I'm going to get into all the congressional testimony, all the new videos with senators and House members that have talked to the informants, the FBI, that witnessed the cabal inside of the Justice Department trying to frame President Trump, the American people, and any conservative, Christian, libertarian, you name it, as a Russian operative. It's so bold. It's so crazy. That is all coming up. I'm going to open the phones up as well. This report's on Infowars.com. Missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against Trump. FBI agent sent jaw-dropping text about no Russia collusion. That was Strzok. 6 months into it, he goes, man, I'm really concerned. This is all fake. There's nothing here. Well, just make up some stuff like Mueller does. So, again, I wonder if Strzok's the one that's turned state's evidence. Senator Ron Johnson, FBI informant says secret society held secret meetings off-site. All of that is on drudgereport.com, newswars.com. But I want to shift gears into something even bigger right now, and that's Vegas. We've had senators come out. We've had Congressman Perry come out of Pennsylvania and say he's talked to sources that show clear, credible evidence that ISIS was involved, not just them taking credit, not just them a week before putting out graphics saying they were going to attack. Not now Strzok, the FBI admits, okay, that the got Strzok on the mind. Now they're coming out admitting that the so-called main Vegas shooter was reportedly a gun runner, had gone to the Middle East, did have these contacts, was involved in this. They're looking at multiple shooters. The whole dam on this is breaking. We have an article on Infowars.com that we're going to put on screen for folks that Paul Watson's about to talk about. Paul?
Yeah, it's ISIS group puts crosshairs on Vegas hotel in threat to shed dirty blood. That's out today. It's PJ Media. So they put out yet another video in which they zero in on a strip hotel. It's not the Mandalay Bay Hotel, but it is a hotel in Vegas. It says, the disbeliever West will see our power through the jihad of sincere people and the sacrifice of monotheists. So basically, they're threatening to attack Las Vegas again. Now, remember, when they claimed responsibility for the Las Vegas massacre, everyone came out and said, oh, ISIS claims responsibility for everything. No, that's not true. People went back and found that even ISIS attacks that had been done by ISIS sympathizers, ISIS didn't even claim responsibility for them if they were not directly involved. They only claim responsibility if they're directly involved. They did for the Las Vegas massacre. Of course, they had propaganda before it happened saying they were targeting Las Vegas. They teased, there's another headline, ISIS teases Vegas in upcoming sequel to original film threatening America. That was November 29th. So they're obsessed with Las Vegas. They're threatening to attack it again today. We had the Congressman Scott Perry come out about a week ago on Fox News saying that there's a terrorist connection to the Las Vegas massacre. And of course, we had the source, the former Trump campaign official, who, by the way, is connected to the same source that reveals today the threatening violent messages against President Trump, which has been proven correct because the same source behind that predicted the secret society 1 month before it was in the news. But this source came out, the former Trump campaign official, and said Stephen Paddock made an ISIS tape where he sat down and basically pledged allegiance to ISIS before the massacre. So this ISIS connection to the Las Vegas massacre isn't going away. They've already confirmed they're looking at different suspects, potentially outside suspects that may have been involved in the attack other than Paddock. So this is starting to come together that it's a wider plot and that it was a terrorist plot. And they've offered no other explanation, no other motive.
And Paul, day one, our FBI sources, the day after it happened, said they went to the Middle East. There was a woman visiting days before, gun runner. We were the first to break all of that, and those were real sources. So this guy had the classic cutout of all of this. I then received even more information I'm not allowed to release on air. We had individuals travel here from another state with video of his brother, and I'm just going to leave it at that, and then they made the decision with their lawyers not to let us use it, which is fine. But the FBI has it. They know what's going on here, and it is unbelievable. What's your best thinking on this? I think our Army intelligence source that laid out the Saudi Arabians having a big convention there, some groups use that as the cover with thousands of people coming in from the Middle East to get in. Then they needed weapons, so they made contacts with a gun runner they'd gotten weapons before from, and then used that as the cutout and the cover for the mass shooting operation, which was a message against Trump just weeks before he rolled up the whole Wahhabist globalist arm that was funding the Clintons inside Saudi Arabia.
I think obviously it was a massively wider plot than it was. He'd researched other targets. He was attempting to hit one of the, the fuel tank nearby to cause a massive explosion. It was obviously a terrorist attack. How can it not have a motive? I mean, even with the Texas church massacre, they found some kind of motive behind that. It's absolutely incredible that this was just one guy, just some random milquetoast guy who went postal. There's all kinds of questions about whether other people involved, and now they've admitted that they're investigating other people. There's surveillance tapes of things that we were told didn't happen, casualties that weren't even attended to for like 2 hours.
All the eyewitnesses, the sheriff a few days into it said, obviously he had help and it's horrible. We're looking at that evidence. And then he comes out, oh no, there's no help. And looks like he's being told to lie. I mean, the guy looked like he was about to kill himself. I mean, why did the sheriff suddenly look normal saying, yeah, there's people helping him, to looking like he was just totally depressed when he went up there and said no one helped him?
Also, the contradiction of what if he had an escape plan, which they say he planned to escape after the attack, right? Why did he shoot himself in the head? And then there's the massive disconnection between the actual timeline we were originally told and what happened with him being discovered. So none of these questions have been answered. They said, what, it'd take a year from when it took place to have any kind of clue. I think it's ISIS, Alex. I mean, that's what I thought when it first happened. It was later confirmed in terms of them.
Well, they said a few weeks before, we're going to attack Vegas and it's going to be drenched in blood.
And they don't claim responsibility for attacks they're not involved in. That's a myth. That's a myth that the news media put out straight afterwards, and people actually pointed out, no, that's not true. And they won't claim responsibility for attacks that are done in their name if they weren't directly involved.
That's right. And Paul, let's be clear. Let's be 100% clear. The FBI has had to change its story 6 different times. The local sheriff's department has as well. And as you said, the whole timeline's wrong. Multiple shooters, the witnesses, the people saying, get out of here, you'll be dead in 45 minutes. The hundreds of rounds fired down the hall. I mean, this, gun battles around the town. I mean, this was a fiasco. And all we're saying is we're being lied to, and they call us fake news for that. Well, you know what? We've been proven right again.
Well, how much information did we know about 9/11 within like 3 days? We knew the motive, most of the people involved in it, within like a week or two, they had all the names, they had all the passports. We're here, 4 months later, and we don't know anything about this. It's absolutely insane. There's obviously some kind of cover-up taking place. For what reason, I don't know. But I genuinely think it was a terrorist attack, and it involved ISIS from everything that I've seen.
Well, I was shown footage and then deleted it because we weren't allowed to use it. That is very interesting. And I'll just say it's been given to the FBI, and it just adds to all of this. But this brother, I mean, the brothers, clearly the whole family's classic intelligence cutouts. You think they just have hundreds of thousands of dollars a week to magically go basically launder through the casinos? That's what the casinos are for, Paul.
It's incredible. There's also been several deaths of people who were down at the scene involved in the shooting. You had the eyewitnesses who were working the stalls, working for the concert. They were, selling the merchandise, selling the food. The FBI came and wiped their phones and their laptops the next day or a couple of days later, completely wiped them. They never got them back. I mean, is that routine operating procedure? From what I read, it wasn't in all cases. So, there's questions about that. Why are they destroying evidence? So, it's big question marks still hang over it for me, Alex.
What an incredible time to be alive. Paul Watson, thank you so much. The official story of Vegas has collapsed, and congressmen and others are now saying that they've been given intelligence it was ISIS, and that more ISIS attacks are now planned. Thank you, Paul. We'll be back with all the big clips and more straight ahead. Stay with us. The fact that the world is so crazy right now makes my job really easy. Used to, I'd come in here and go through several hundred articles and then try to get through most of them in 3 or 4 hours because I would change the topic every 5 minutes. There's not even a day out of the month goes by now where I go through half the stories. And I probably should. A lot of it's really important. Because the war news, the economy news, the Russiagate news, the leftist temper tantrums and violence all over the world is so insane that you can't turn away. And now Russiagate, that we've all known is completely ridiculous and fake. Russia can barely run its own country. It's the biggest in the world. China is literally, even the Washington Post admits, running almost every U.S. university, controlling Hollywood. I mean, it's not the Chinese people, it's the communist Chinese. But if you wanted to have some hysteria, China's got more control of the U.S. than Trump does in many respects. But then there's this hoax where they have hearings and say, I'm a Russian. And now Twitter's sending out hundreds of thousands of emails. What 3 of our crew have gotten them saying, you are a Russian bot. And then the news is running with it today saying, proof, Alex Jones is a Russian bot. Paul Watson's a Russian bot. Because I want to cut our taxes. And because FBI agents are blowing the whistle and we're catching them with their text messages, making up lies about Russiagate, I'm a Russian bot. Think about the magnitude of those lies. But then there's the surrealness of all this. Because the reality is it's the Clintons in bed with the Russians and the Chinese and the rest of it. And then to see Senator Ron Johnson on the secret society that the informants have told them about, and they have the text messages that say, today is the first day of the new secret society. And then the media goes, oh, well, did they really have one? What do you think a criminal cabal is? I've been calling it a criminal rogue group in the FBI, a La Cosa Nostra, which means our thing. Then we're going to get to other incredible clips, but here is Senator Ron Johnson.
Is further evidence of corruption, more than bias, but corruption at the highest levels of the FBI and that secret society. We have an informant that's talking about a group that were holding secret meetings off-site. There's so much smoke here. There's so much suspicion.
Let's stop there. A secret society, secret meetings off-site of the Justice Department.
Correct.
And you have an informant saying that.
Yes.
Is there anything more about that?
No, we have to dig into it. This is not a distraction. Again, this is bias, potentially corruption at the highest levels of the FBI that is now investigating. And now and by the way, Robert Mueller used to run the FBI. He is in no position to do an investigation over this kind of misconduct. So I think at this point in time, we probably should be looking at a special counsel to undertake this investigation. But Congress is going to have to continue to dig.
It's not just that he used to run the FBI. He covered up for the Clinton crimes, the Obama crimes. Comey did that. Then you've got them recommending to the president, oh, sir, McCabe's a good guy. He's not partisan, and then he's the ringleader of it. The Attorney General and Ron Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, recommend McCabe, who is in the text messages, as the ringleader. Sir, you can trust McCabe. He'll take care of you. It's incredible. It's like the school bus driver's Jeffrey Dahmer. It's like, Jeffrey will take care of the kids. Bye, Jeffrey. And imagine you're the president now who had all these people recommended to him, and they're the ones running the cabal that's been caught. Robert Mueller heads up one of the big law firms that you hire because it's all the former top FBI people and Justice Department people, so that if they sign off on your foreign deal, you don't get indicted by the FBI. You're in the club. And that's how Mueller's involved in 10 different Russian companies. He's got millions of dollars per company in some cases and never made an investment. But on the regular prospectus, you've got to invest money to be part of it. It's a giant cash machine. And they're all incredibly corrupt. And they thought Hillary was going to get in. They thought they were invincible. And then they whipped themselves up into a fury, into a frenzy, believing they could stop Trump once he was president-elect. And now, a year later, it is blowing up. I mean, I've never heard of anything like this in U.S. history. This is spectacular conspiracy. And admitting they deleted the thousands of text messages. Let's go to Bob Goodlatte. Hence, DOJ may tap NSA for missing text. Oh, yeah, they've all been recorded. And the president's got all of them. That's why they know. They've just got to wait till it all comes out. And then we'll go to this other clip. Here it is.
Joe DeGenevis said on my radio show that the NSA has every text message, that we can get those text messages if need be. What do you know about that?
We should search every place to find them because I think they still exist in some form somewhere. I'm pleased that Attorney General Sessions has made a commitment to investigate this and find them, but we should also undertake whether there is some way to gather them from some other source. It is very important, but even the text messages we have are alarming, and the secret society just harks back to the text we saw before in December talking about the insurance policy. What has been going on in that 5-month period of time? Well, we know one thing for sure, and that is that these people hostile to the president have not been conducting themselves in a manner that befits the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
They built this big, giant, illegal thing that records everything. And we've got it from the WikiLeaks and the Vault 1 through 8 CIA leaks that came out last year. We know exactly how it works, the name of the program, you name it. They go into their name, into their social security number. You enter that, and then it goes in. And even for the last 6, 7 years, everything's recorded. Before that, it was just key people, but still a lot of folks. And I've seen some of the files. We published them with my name, Trump's name, where hundreds of thousands were being watched when Obama first got in. But that was just in that DEA data dump that Sheriff Arpaio got, that he released to the world. They go right into your file, just like you go into a computer file, and then it's okay. He's got a Twitter, he's got a Facebook, he's got a YouTube, he's got his private email, he's got these cell phones. Let's see who he's associated with, his wife, his son, his daughter. They've all got cell phones, and then they've got maps of who you talk to, and you can just go right into all the voicemails, all the text messages, all the voice memos, all of the everything. The Snapchats, everything. Because as that goes over the fiber, it's all caught at the big data centers, and it's all recorded, and it's all put into the record. So, yes, everything these FBI agents did on burner phones is also recorded, but they think that that's not going to be nexused out because it's phones they bought at Walmart or whatever. But still, because of the proximity and where they're at and all the rest of it, you could geolocate a map about when those calls were made and where, and overlay it and figure out who had the phones and who they were. But yeah, that's the best thing they've got is the burner phones. But there's travel log proximity maps and predictive systems that know how you travel in your daily life. And even the average FBI agent wouldn't know that till now. So they'll overlay that and have the entire data map fully recorded. You know, we have a great team here at InfoWars. And I don't spend enough time thanking them for the great job they do or how they think of all the different angles and things that I miss. But Darren McBreen remembered a clip, and if you can bring Darren in here, because he'll probably know the date, but this was when Trump was still running, if memory serves, but he was the nominee, and they were going completely ape. And Newt Gingrich said something that was 100% true. That's what frustrates me about Newt Gingrich. He's ultra smart, ultra aware, incredible speaker, but he used to work for Nelson Rockefeller and others, and when the globalists want, he'll go along with them. Yeah, they found the article, March 4th, 2016. Gingrich, establishment scared of Trump because he didn't belong to the secret society. Darren remembered that he had said that. And see, I was right. It was back during the campaign. I guess he wasn't even the nominee yet. But the fact that Gingrich said that, I just add the proviso that you can't trust Gingrich, except when he's telling you the truth 98% of the time. It's some of the best info out there. But then occasionally he'll pull a little globalist stuff. But that's a side issue. I should have just got right to the meat and potatoes. Darren remembered that, and that ties into all of this right now, because that's why the globalists don't like Trump. He is his own guy. He isn't in a good old boys club. When he's not hanging out with his family, he's hanging out with his wife, or if he's not married, a woman. And he likes to hang out with blue-collar workers and eat hamburgers, literally on his construction sites. And he's just a blue-collar billionaire who is about sticking it to the elites. And he's never been in their club. He's never done it in their cabals. He's never joined their big groups. And he came out during the campaign and said, I've paid off all these people. And it's illegal, but it's wrong. And I know how to turn things back on. They have been screwing the country over. These people are all bought and paid for. I'm an independent. I will take the controls off that have been screwing you. And Gingrich made that point back in March of a year and a half ago or longer. We should flash back that article and retweet it. Remember when Gingrich said Trump wasn't part of a secret society? Because that's the secret to Trump. He is his own guy. Does it mean he's perfect? No. And let me tell you something before I play this clip. The fact that they've gotten him to send major heavy weapons to the Russian border, they've basically doubled what was there under Obama, and they put U.S. special operations all over the Russian border, and they're massing Marines, and they've got the head of the Marine Corps close to the Russian border saying there's 300 Marines here today, there may be 3,000 next week. We're probably going to have a war with Russia. And that is all the neocons and the Democrats making this Russia thing up, desperate to keep us from getting all those Russian resources. Russia's perfect. They've got more resources than Africa. Russia has the most resources than Africa. Russia's a country, also basically two continents together, and then you've got Eurasia, and then, of course, you've got Africa, that's its own continent. But all the demographics, all the numbers, all the facts show Russia needs the U.S. needs Russia, and they're Christian and anti-communist now. I mean, I think they go too far. They basically arrest communists in Russia now and stuff. But he says they work for Soros, and it's been proven. The point is that things are getting crazy. And Russia has been moving its supersonic missiles to the borders with Europe. They've been moving them up the border with North Korea. And they've been saying, okay, we're ready to have a war. Let's go. And it's such a travesty that the secret globalist societies, the good old boys, the sycophants, Phil Mudd goes, you disrespected our intelligence community. We're going to kill you. And Schumer, you mess with our intelligence agencies. They got 7 ways to Sunday. You mean all the blue blood, Ivy League leftists that have it out for the country, that all wanted to be secret agents, who all went and got your little CIA cards. You're embarrassing scum. All the people that actually do the killing and the tracking and the engaging and all the work hate you to a person. So it's also a besmirch of U.S. intelligence agencies to actually say that Phil Mudd and other little chicken neck cowards like Chucky Schumer represent them. And the point is, our government leadership has been evil. Our intelligence agencies recognize that. But it's really up to we the people. But if our own military and our own intelligence agencies are trying to get the face sucker off of us, the least the American people can do is join in doing it. And you have done that. You're the reason we're here. And it's recognized by the president and others that InfoWars was the computer program reboot operation to let us recognize we're under globalist control, foreign occupation, and that it was hurting us economically, and how they use economics to control, to launch the reboot, first through our military and intelligence agencies. I mean, I could have in here from SEAL Team 6, you name it, all of them, and tell you. They would get called in and told, required viewing, Alex Jones, 10, 15 years ago. And it wasn't that I was that special. It's that I was the only person that actually read government documents and had those type of guests on who wasn't a leftist. Because the leftists obsessed with COG and how government works because they want to run it and get into it. I just want to live here in Texas and be left alone. I don't want to be up there in the secret societies and the butt-kissing operations. And I want to be left alone. Only reason I'm doing this is because I'm not going to be some globalist slave of Antifa and a bunch of potbellies and a bunch of scum like Bernie Sanders who wants to run my life. It ain't happening. But I've kind of gone on a rant here. The point is that I'm glad that McBreen remembered this because this is the truth. Trump is not in a secret society. His society is going up on the stage and saying, it's about you and your family. That's real value. You make the world work. I admire you, and I'm going to get out of your way. Trump admires working families. Trump admires white people, black people, Hispanics, women, old, young. Trump admires hardworking, strong people. He's all about it. He's obsessed with it. He works 18 hours a day. They've got him to cut back a little bit to like 14, thank God, because he was getting exhausted 6 months ago. He's real, people. That's why the scum's so upset. They're crapping themselves. He was so real, him and his dad played possum for decades while they were planning all this and waiting for the right time. And guess what? It happened. Again, his dad, I've confirmed from the highest levels, massive amounts of money to the John Birch Society in the 50s and 60s. Same thing with people like Donald Trump. And I've talked to the old guys that have been in the meetings just 2 days ago with Trump, 25 years ago, saying, I wish somebody'd run to stop this. I'd get behind him. He didn't even want to. When he says that, he doesn't need to do that to feel powerful. He was looking for somebody to back. They never showed up. Just like he says in speeches, they never came along. I've talked to people that were in the meetings 25 years ago when Trump was saying, who do we get to do this? Why are we doing this with NAFTA and GATT? Why are they out to get the country? He's not perfect, but he's not out to screw you. He doesn't have it out for America. You understand that? All right, let's go to Newt Gingrich here. Let's go ahead and roll Newt Gingrich telling it like it is. Here it is.
And now they're faced with a very real prospect of Donald Trump becoming the leader of the party, and it absolutely drives them crazy. They just cannot imagine sharing. Well, because he's an outsider. He's not them. He's not part of the club. He's uncontrollable. You know, he hasn't been through the initiation rites. He didn't belong to the secret society. And I think that they don't see him. They have no idea how to relate to him.
That's right, because they're not normal, good, honorable people. An alpha male that's strong and successful doesn't have to see you fail to feel powerful. In fact, when they see you fail as a good person, it hurts a real alpha male. And that's really what this is the return of, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why they're so scared. And that's why they're crapping themselves. Is Trump perfect? No. Is he delivering perfectly? No. But is he trying as hard as he can? Absolutely. Newt Gingrich, Trump didn't belong to the secret societies. And you look at who did. People like Zuckerberg at Harvard. And I got to say it, Harvard is the cancer. People want to say, oh, it's Catholics, oh, it's Jews, oh, it's this or that. No, there's good Catholics, good Jews, good agnostics, good everything. They're basically Harvard pinhead wannabe elitists who hate everybody and think they're better than everybody, who want to be in the cool club. Just like Gerald Celente always says, they're the white shoe boys that always wanted to be class president. That's who they are. And they hate you. They hate America. They hate Trump. They are the scum of the earth. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm your host, Alex Jones. If you just joined us, I'm going to hit some other news we haven't gotten to yet. Big earthquakes, economic news. We've got a guest joining us, one of our reporters from Switzerland, covering the World Economic Forum. He's made some very interesting discoveries. Kit Daniels has got an article going up in the next few minutes about it. Antifa is up on top of the frozen mountain in the middle of nowhere, financed by George Soros as usual, helicoptered in with their signs. But being a Renamob, they're calling for socialism, not communism, like they normally do. And they're not calling for killing U.S. cops. They're calling for global warming carbon taxes paid to them. In fact, it just went live. Report, Soros deploys Antifa at Davos. But Jack Posobiec is really a smart cookie, and he started tweeting out on his Twitter the fact that, Trump's not in a secret society, as Newt Gingrich said, but who is in a secret society? So we should create a whole meme about this, about, oh, the Clinton FBI crime syndicate, they're a secret society. And we can put on screen John Podesta. He's in a secret spirit cooking Aleister Crowley society. So did somebody say secret society? And you can have, Bravanovich, who they say is like 70-something, but it's like a vampire. She looks like she's 40. And they all worship her. Did someone say secret society? We're not creepy. We just have vampire teeth. And they say, sir, we'll have the blood, the semen, and the breast milk there waiting for you. Oh, good. And, sir, the entertainment will be waiting for you in the hot tub. Good. So that's what this all comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. It's all too rich, isn't it, my friends? So does somebody say secret? Again, here's Newt Gingrich back in March of 2016 pointing out that Trump's not part of the good old boy club.
And now they're faced with a very real prospect of Donald Trump becoming the leader of the party, and it absolutely drives them crazy. They just cannot imagine sharing. Well, because he's an outsider. He's not them. He's not part of the club. He's uncontrollable. He hasn't been through the initiation rites. He didn't belong to the secret society. And I think that they don't see him. They have no idea how to relate to him.
But see, the globalists create their own little cabals, their own little cults to keep people on the reservation and control them so they'll do terrible things. I'm part of American society. I'm part of believing in the country and knowing free market's the way to go and knowing we're not perfect, but our history is illustrious and our high points are a lot better than our low points. And I want to make the country great, and I don't want to bring it down. But you go to college or public school, I mean, every college out there, except a few Christian ones, they just demonize America like it's Satan's rear end. And they never criticize North Korea or Venezuela or all the other horrible disasters that are collectivism. They just harp and harp and harp and harp because they're the moral high ground. They're the good guys. Well, most Christians or libertarians or conservatives or just free market folks or classical liberals aren't about grandstandings. We just sit here and let them run the world. And now they want to ban us off the internet. Now they want to say we're Russian agents. Now they want to shut us up. So we're finding out we got to do something. We got to stand up. And so the sleeping giant is awake, and they keep acting like we're still asleep. See, they thought we were always awake, but they had intimidated us. And now that we're awake, they keep trying to scare us, and they never listen. Psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists like this as well, they never listen. They just have their own program going on internally in their mind. So they always tell us that we're an echo chamber. We're the echo chamber handing your ass to you. I'm not an echo chamber. I listen to it. I watch it all. I really think through it. Like CNN came out with more than, it's like 100 other publications. It's all over TV. I can't even keep track of it. They are so scared of Neil Strauss because he's had a whole bunch of #1 New York Times best-selling books. And a lot of them get turned into movies. And he wants to write this big book with me, and I'm very happy. And he came. I met with him some. And we hit it off. And he said he's never seen it where he sent out the proposal. And there's already folks wanting to publish it. But we'll send the proposal out so, get a nice bidding war going. And they tattled within 24 hours, and CNN's like, well, we contacted United Artists that represents him, and, they're saying they did this on their own, and they're not going to be part of this. Ooh, they think it's cool to be on television saying, we're going to ban Alex. We're not going to let him publish a book. Hey, dummies. Just like you got Milo's book banned and ended up selling twice as many. We already thought all that through. We don't just like you just arrogantly do something and then freak out when something happens. We thought it all through. And I was never going to publish a book except for the fact Neil said yes, but they're going to try to ban it. And then he laid out his plan. And they're walking into it better than we even thought. So and then they can't help it too. They have to book ban. This is killing a book before it ever got out of mommy. This is like aborting a book. And this is the new thing they do. You know, Savage has had a bunch of #1 New York Times. He writes one about China's influence over America. It made it to the publishing. They printed 100,000 of them, and then they went, oh, sorry, Mr. Savage, we'll pay you. The Chinese don't like it. We're not going to ship it to the stores. And the listeners are kind of like, oh, well, you know, the Chinese government says Michael Savage's book can't come out. I mean, we're just kind of used to it, all of us, aren't we? Because we don't whine. But this is outrageous. And now, you know what? We're calling all the publishers, and CNN says anybody publishes it will destroy you. I mean, what a knuckle-dragging thug. Yeah, there it is, Michael Savage, China lobby censoring new book. I mean, wait till you experience this, folks. I mean, I'm not at liberty to get into it, but one reason I said I didn't want to be in big movies is about 6, 7 years ago, they wanted me to play this big leading role, a supporting role, but it was a big role. It wasn't the leading, it was a big supporting role in a big science fiction movie that came out. And I said, you know, this is a total payoff. I mean, you know, come on, Alex, you're a good actor. You can be over here and do all this. I was like, yeah. And Hollywood cannot believe, you know, that I just said no. And I've said no to a bunch of it. It's really, I don't kind of peacock around and get arrogant about stuff, but I love turning Hollywood down and all that stuff. It's one of my sick enjoyments. Everybody else falls over themselves. These politicians would, any of them. It's a joke. The real rock star thing to do is, you know, just burn them, baby. You couldn't pay me enough to be part of what you do. But I'm sorry. The point is that because it's not about the power, personal power. It's about these power worshipers not worshiping their God, not worshiping that big, fat. If Hollywood was a creature, it'd be like a giant, wart-covered, Jabba the Hutt child molester with pus pouring out of its eyes, with flies all over it in the middle of a giant junk heap for eternity. I don't want to have my spirit with that. So if I can metaphysically turn down huge amounts of money and turn down fame in the system, that's a ritual sacrifice. I mean, I'm not into magic, you know, as you little Crowleyites are. That's all you trying to simulate what really goes on in the real world. But in front of God, it's a ritual to turn that down, you see, to not be part of Babylon and to want to try to build our own world here. That's what America's about. It's what this whole thing is about, is doing new stuff, our own thing, where it isn't based on your sick secret societies, but where it's based on real brotherhood of man and humanity building the new future based on what individuals really stand for, not off what systems, artificial systems you set up that we're supposed to all be imprisoned by. So that's a side issue. Speaking of that, though, we can't build this without capital to project the ideas and to defend the ideas from the enemy's attempts to shut it down. So I haven't even really plugged today yet, other than saying we have the CNN is fake news T-shirts that a guy got thrown out of CNN Center. It's like a little mall by the convention center, and they said you can't have that here. Just total authoritarians. You can get those shirts. It helps fund the operation. Got a lot of new supplements out. Our new pollen block from the quail, the Japanese quail that are fed a special diet. That's 51% off out of the gates, $17.76. It really works. I'm amazed at how good it works. It knocks my seasonal discomfort caused by pollen down by about 80%. It's some days 90. I say today it's about 80. The pollen's just off the chart, the cedar and all the rest of it's unbelievable right now. But InfoWarsStore.com. And we have a new product up there that's 50% off out of the gates. But I'm not even going to plug Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula, whole body support, because I don't have time to do it properly. But I'll just tell you this. This is the strongest, most concentrated turmeric. We looked at 10 leading competitors that cost even more money, and their derivatives or their extracts, and they're not even a fraction. This is 400+ milligrams per serving of concentrated, fresh, high-quality turmeric with a bunch of other organic compounds that are known to synergistically supercharge it. Everybody knows, or you should know about turmeric. It's a 60-day supply, big order. It's now available. Body's. You look at the leading competitors and what they got in it versus us. That is capsule size right there. And we just absolutely devastate the competition. We're not just tomorrow's news today. We're the highest quality supplements out there. InfoWarsStore.com. Help fund the victory against the globalist. See, I wasn't as patient as Donald Trump. He created his real estate empire, then created his media empire, played possum, all the whole time behind the scenes preparing his move to try to overthrow the globalist. I just had to go directly to radio and television 20-plus years ago, and it came together like a horse and carriage with you, the listeners and viewers that are the heart of 1776. Dan Lyman is going to be joining us. We can show you some B-roll right now if you're a TV viewer, some of the footage he shot in Switzerland at Davos. Again, he's going to be joining us coming up in the next segment, Infowars.com reporter. Also, you guys might want to print it. I forgot to tell you. There's a new Kit Daniels article on Infowars.com about Antifa rats, always highly financed by their Lord Demon, King Soros. They are also there. I mean, you've got the helicopters ferrying in the rulers of the universe, the big tech companies, the Hollywood folks who are there telling us that they are saviors of the earth and that you must let them run your entire life and control you or the earth will die, and that they are just total saviors. Like all these Hollywood movies that are coming out about, you know, where the daughter's marrying the cool tech owner and he's really cool and Bill and Melinda Gates are helping, and this is truly sick. And there's all these old eugenicists, you know, sitting back. All these old eugenicists going, oh, let's get Bono. He's groovy and cool. Let him keep 99% of the African money just as long as he tells folks climate change so we can get that carbon tax in and kill about 1 billion people in the third world in the next few decades. But first, I want to play this clip since I mentioned it and didn't get to it. We've got Good Lot getting into DOJ, may get NSA, missing text. We've got Senator Ron Johnson about the secret society and the criminal activity of the Clinton operatives and the FBI. But we also have Terry Trucci, former senior FBI agent, who I want to get on the show, by the way, hashtag release the memo, talking about just how incredible the activities of these people inside the FBI are.
There's a lot of political dirty tricks going on here. I don't think this trail is going to stop at the door of the Russians. I think it's going to stop where the Democratic Party came through the door of the FBI. And I think this is Watergate Part 2. I think this is Hillary and Bill Clinton Part 2. We put up with all of this in the Clintons during my time in the FBI. And it was one scandal after another. And I think that if you look at past practices, remember what we always say that, you know, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. This is all way too looking like the things I saw when I was there.
That's right. That's so powerful. Let's play, as we have time before we go to break, Senator Ron Johnson on what he had to say before we go to break, because, I mean, what they're saying is true. This isn't hype. In fact, it's worse than what they're saying. But the fact that this is coming out, it's recognized they've gone too far. They've got to be prosecuted. I understand not poking the bear and letting them go into abstention, keep their billions of stolen Haitian money and Russian money, the Clintons, but they're not going to go away. So, you know, that's what it comes down to. Here it is.
What this is all about is further evidence of corruption, more than bias, but corruption at the highest levels of the FBI and that secret society. We have an informant that's talking about a group that were holding secret meetings off-site. There's so much smoke here. There's so much suspicion.
Let's stop there. A secret society, secret meetings off-site of the Justice Department.
Correct.
And you have an informant saying that?
Yes.
Is there anything more about that?
No, we have to dig into it. This is not a distraction. Again, this is bias, potentially corruption at the highest levels of the FBI that is now investigating. And now this is, and by the way, Robert Mueller used to run the FBI. He is in no position to do an investigation over this kind of misconduct. So I think at this point in time, we probably should be looking at a special counsel to undertake this investigation. But Congress is going to have to continue to dig.
Yeah, that's not enough. They've got to be indicted now. These are clear and present cabal of organized crime that infiltrated our government, that want to overthrow it for the communist Chinese and other foreign powers. They're accusing us of that. They're all on the payroll. He didn't just used to run it. Him and Comey brought this whole nest of crooks in. It's all their little babies. Sooner or later, gonna cut you down. Sooner or later, gonna cut you down. All right, Dan Lyman has been doing work for InfoWars a few years. Great reporter, very prolific. Twitter, @CitizenAnalyst. Facebook, @CitizenAnalyst as well. He's an American writer, political analyst, and cultural commentator. After years fronting a rock band, he answered the call to true journalism in defense of Western civilization. Dan now serves as foreign correspondent in Switzerland for InfoWars. And I was thinking, we got to send a crew, but man, budgetarily, that's expensive. And they went, Dan Lyman. You know, the great Kit Daniels said, Dan Lyman. And I'm like, of course, Dan Lyman's amazing. We just need to get him a crew or something in the future because he's one manning it right now. But he's part of the great team. And again, the only reason I say that is because our team is everything. I just want to talk about the great team we've been forming. We've been expanding. We've upped it. More than 10 full-time writer reporters, 3 or 4 new TV reporters just last year. I want to double that the next year. But again, it's all up to you, the listeners, and you've built it. I thank you. I'm just saying we grow as you want us to grow. You are the InfoWar. You are the resistance. So Dan's there. Kit Daniels has an article he worked on with him. He's got some video of this. TV viewers can see. Soros deploys Antifa at Davos. Antifa parrots establishment talking points outside the meeting. And there's video of that, again, up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. So let's just get Dan Lyman's take on what he's witnessed as somebody that lives in Switzerland, but going to this very remote area where the globalists go to be away from everybody. I've got articles here where even top Silicon Valley folks are saying, world must wake up to threat from tech giants. That's London Telegraph, and their authoritarianism. And, of course, we've seen press releases from Davos admitting their global government is in trouble. So what's the mood there as it kicks off with Trump set to speak there tomorrow? Dan?
Hello, Alex. Good to be with you tonight.
Thanks for joining us. So what's your first approximation?
Well, so far, it's been uneventful on the outside. It's a very low-key crowd outside. Basically, you see a lot of media personalities, tourists, just the standard ski crowd outside of the kind of the conference center area and the media area. But today I did a little bit more exploring up on the hill, which is back behind the center. And I did find that Antifa house, which I found pretty surprising, as I had not encountered any activists or protesters yet. But what's interesting about this house is its proximity to the venue, and also it's basically on a bend in the road where a lot of media personalities are walking through. There's a lot of cameras there, a lot of TV broadcasting trucks. So it's very prominently displayed to these people there. And what's also interesting is that for someone to have access to that many balconies in Switzerland, they either own the house or they rent the whole thing, or they've rented it out for the entire week, which would be incredibly expensive. So I do have my suspicions as to how they had access to all those balconies to hang the propaganda.
Well, look, we know Soros funds it. He's got billions of stolen dollars as a Nazi collaborator and all of his other criminal activities. But really, it's just you there reporting on what locals think, on, you know, when Trump comes in, what locals think. We can read the press releases put out by the globalists that are up there taking drugs and having sex with, you know, all the different prostitutes. I mean, we know what goes on there. And of course, we had the former board member of Davos on just yesterday. Ted Mallick's going to be reporting on it as well. And he said that they're really panicking, that they're really in decline right now.
Very true. And I also saw that Macron, he spoke earlier today, and from the inside, he said that globalism is in crisis. There's no question that the theme of this entire confab this year is basically anti-Trump. So I think it's fantastic that he has the brass to show up there and just lay down the law, it looks like, tomorrow.
Well, there's so many angles to this. A lot of undercover stuff you can obviously do, too, if you can find Antifa and what bars they're in and what they're saying, what they're doing, who's paying them. But, again, these are the big billionaires that try to get all the world leaders in line to really try to set up their own secret society-style cabal like we've been hearing about inside the FBI.
Correct. There's no question about it. And that's why I think this visit from Trump is going to be so interesting. He does arrive tomorrow. I think he's scheduled to have a private dinner with a bunch of European CEOs, if I'm not mistaken. I could see definitely with the way things are going in the U.S., with the corporate tax cuts and just the general prosperity that seems to be taking hold, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts sucking a little business our way out there. And it definitely seems feasible. And I think that will add an added element of suspense to the entire event.
Well, since you say that, I don't know if you've talked to somebody that gave you inside info, but that's the word. The media tried to spin it. Oh, he's going to sell out to the establishment. First, the establishment didn't exist a few years ago, the media told us, the corporate media. Now it exists, and Trump's selling out to it. No, he's not just doing a victory lap. He's not just doing a up the keister maneuver. He is going, like he always does, to go, come on, guys, globalism, getting together, being managed, going in and screwing countries over, playing nations off against each other. That's not the way to go. Come to America, just like Lee Cook of Apple just announced $350 billion new dollars to be spent here in the next year. Just like Japan, South Korea, all announcing he's there cheerleading for America like he said he would do. And he's going to break off those meetings, dominate with his star appeal and his momentum, and basically break up Davos. So I wasn't going to say it, but you kind of preluded it. This is, or foreshadowed it, this is, Trump is going to literally break up Davos. And they're fools to invite him in, because he wouldn't even send, remember, when he was president-elect, or just got in last year, he sent, I think, Cartolucci there. So he kind of dissed him last year with a backhand. This year he's going in there to blow it sky high. And I kind of hold back my news because I want to make sure he gets in there and everything. But they're so arrogant, they're not going to listen to me. The point is I can now tell you he's going in to blow up the Death Star. So it's pretty exciting.
It is, definitely. And I think there's an added element of providence, some delicious irony, the fact that Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Treaty. And then, like on cue this weekend, we were just dumped on with snow. There was nearly 6 feet of snow that fell in this region, up in the mountains and on the ground. I mean, you can't walk anywhere that hasn't been pre-cleared for you. I ended up falling into a snow hole, just drifting off the beaten path just briefly. There is a lot of snow on the ground. The helipad was shut down for a while. The traffic coming in and out of town is monstrous because a lot of these people who would normally get ferried in by helicopter now have to take in these vans, private limousines. So it's quite a sight to behold, and it's almost like the Trump curse has struck Davos already.
That's right. And again, they want to be up the top of a mountain like Mont Blanc. They want to be on top of it. But Trump is going to Davos to politically destroy it, to politically blow it up, to break it up while it's on its knees, and bring that cabal that's there trying to destroy nation states to heel, and he'll give them quarter and invite them back into the U.S. Republic as a devastating victory against the EU. That's the inside baseball, because he sent Scaramucci, again, an underling with not a lot of power at that time, into the situation just to surveil it and to reconnoiter the situation. But now he himself is going to plant his sword in the heart of the dragon. I think this is going to be spectacular.
I do too. I think even the entrance will be spectacular. There are only 2, if not 1, tiny little 2-lane roads that come in and out of Davos. So I'm not sure how they're even going to get him there. It's been very private. However they're ferrying these people to and from, they can park them underground. So the possibility of kind of filming someone exiting a vehicle or even pulling in is quite slim. Security is very tight. I've tried to get some footage of the front of the building, which I've managed to get a little bit, but even filming from across the street on private property, I was yelled at by security and police to put the camera away. So as you can imagine, it is very tight. There are Swiss military helicopters flying around at all times above and hovering and just kind of keeping an eye on everything. So however the president comes in, if he's coming in the Beast or something else, it's going to be spectacular to behold.
And again, I would go talk to the Swiss police and go, look, man, I'm InfoWars. You know who we are. We've been there before. They know who we are. And I'm pressed so that, I mean, you know what you're doing, but I wouldn't act paranoid around them. I just go up and say, look, we're not showing your security procedures. We're just like everybody else. This idea that, I'm sorry we have more viewers than CNN in the U.S. I mean, I know if we were a discredited horror operation, we would be cool, but just absolutely. All right, Dan Lyman is there up atop the mountain in the middle of the Swiss Alps for our big victory lap. But more than that, Trump just doesn't do victory laps. He's going in there to bring back the spoils and bring back the booty of the collapsing EU. Stay with us. We're back live. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Dan Lyman, one-man wrecking crew with his great articles at Infowars.com, and he's there. We told you we'd send somebody, and I was going to send people from here. And then it was like, we got Dan Lyman in Switzerland. And he lives in Switzerland with his wife and family, and he does a great job for Infowars.com, Twitter @CitizenAnalyst. And again, if he has trouble getting us info through when the internet goes up and down because of the thousands of people that are there, he'll be able to still post at Citizen Analyst on Twitter. So be sure and follow that at Citizen Analyst on Facebook. I'm going to let you get back to Trump's arrival tomorrow and interviewing the locals and everything else you're doing. We'll follow at Infowars.com, Dan. But I talked to folks about what Trump is planning. One particular individual talked to Trump about 4 days ago, and a lot of this information I get, I tend to not want to put on air just because I want the main mission to take place. But, you know, while you were talking, I just figured they figured it out already what he's doing. So I shouldn't always just hold back and then not get the big scoops. But Trump told the individual I talked to that, I'm not going to quote him exactly, but he just said, I'm going to go up there. Those people are on their last legs, and I'm going to tell them how the cow ate the cabbage, and I'm going to bring back a lot of new factories and new industry to the United States. I'm going to go in there and out-negotiate these guys, and these guys are a bunch of amateurs, and they're a bunch of idiots, and I shouldn't say that. The EU are a bunch of idiots and a bunch of authoritarians, and he is going to relish eating their lunch.
No question. There was an interesting article a couple of days ago that Drudge linked to the headline. It was the New York Times, Fox in the hen house, Trump goes to the globalist den or whatever. And I thought that was a shocking bit of truth from the New York Times, but I think a more apropos headline would have been a lion in the viper pit. These people they're no match for Trump. Trump is the one-man wrecking crew, and I don't think a lot of us could have even foreseen the effect that he would have had on European politics. You see this nationalist populist wave that's just washing across the continent from east to west. I mean, I did a story the other day at News Wars about Switzerland is even introducing a referendum to sever some of the ties that they have with the EU, namely the open border agreements. So you see this kind of coming in. I think Viktor Orban kind of was pioneering this whole thing. And with the rise of Trump has come the rise of nationalist populism in Europe, and it is very powerful. And you can tell that these globalists in Davos are terrified. Even with the name of the confab this year is, have it written down here, creating a shared future in a fractured world. If that's not a dig at Trump and also revealing their cards, I don't know what is.
Well, Dan, here's the deal. And I've talked to Lord Monckton about this and others, and I've talked to people at the State Department because they bounce stuff off Trump's thinking about. I'm all about the UN or global bodies if they're elected, if people want to be part of them, if nations want to come together and unilaterally, you know, make deals with each other or have larger combines, that's fine. But you can't do it with the UN or NATO or all these groups because they were set up by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds to be authoritarian. And so we're all about alliances. We're all about countries. I'm all about world citizens. I'm all about being able to live wherever you want. I hope nations would, you know, make it simpler. I'm all about freedom, just like you live in, you know, Switzerland. But that's not what they're doing. They're creating a one world government that tracks what you do, that taxes all carbon, that exempts all these big corporations, and is bringing in a hellish system. I mean, these groups rape third world countries. They push race war. They're ruthless with this whole candy liberal coding garbage. So that's what's happening here. And the EU's on its last leg. Look at this article here out of the London Telegraph. This reads like InfoWars 5 years ago. World must wake up to threat from tech giants. Silicon Valley billionaire Mark Benioff has compared the current crisis of trust facing the tech giants to the financial crisis of a decade ago, urging regulators to wake up to the threat from Google, Facebook, and other dominant firms. The outspoken entrepreneur accused some of the industry's most influential bosses of advocating responsibility and being ignorant to how powerful and sophisticated they become. Regulators now have a choice but to intervene, he said. We are in a new world. A decade ago, you had banks talking about collateralized debt obligations and credit default swaps, saying they were great for the economy, but regulators weren't paying attention. The government needs to come to the point of true north, he said in a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. And I mean, these groups are super authoritarian. They're bigger than governments, and they're doing whatever they want. And then the answer is Rupert Murdoch going, oh, Trump, shut them down, bust them up, and then shut down all the independent media and make people pay to get News Corp and the New York Times. And the New York Times goes, yeah, we like that. So get rid of the Silicon Valley monopoly and have the old media come in and do it? I mean, good God, this is insane.
Well, speaking of the New York Times, is interestingly, the trains that are running kind of within an hour radius of Davos, which are being frequented by, you know, journalists and people that are visiting the event, the New York Times took out an ad on all these trains, and it just says truth. More important now than ever, the New York Times. You wouldn't normally see that, obviously.
Oh, I hope you took a photo of that. That tweet is gold.
I do have that. I do, and I'll put that up on
Tweet
Twitter
it. We're going to retweet it at Real Alex Jones and at Prison Planet right now. Tell us more of the bombshell, the things you've seen.
Well, I think another thing that's very interesting is that the word, you were saying 5 years ago, the London Telegraph is writing, our headlines 5 years later. The word globalism in general, not too long ago, when you said that to people, they looked at you like you were a loon. But I have seen the word global and globalism so many times all over Davos this week and in the mainstream press that it's amazing. It's all just out in the open now, all the way through. I mean, we're talking about secret societies and the FBI now. So all the things that we've been talking about for years and you for decades now are mainstream. It's incredible.
Well, I was about to say, just early last year, it was like in February, so almost a year ago, they had a front page New York Times article going, we can see if we can pull it up. It was something like, is globalism real? And here are the people that believe in it. And then it's an article about me saying I'm insane and that it doesn't exist, but it's an admitted global authoritarian technocracy, unelected in their own words.
No question. And I think one of the things also this week that's very interesting, there are 7 women co-chairing the event. One of them is IMF head Christine Lagarde, who is a big global warmist. She's constantly pushing that agenda. And she's on record. You can look up her quotes where she says, fixing global warming is really about destroying the global economic system that's been based on capitalism forever. We're going to shift to a socialist internationalist model.
Stay there. I want to come back and quote that. Stay there, because we're going to come back. I want to give you that's important. Dan Lyman reporting from Davos, World Economic Forum 2018. They say it exactly. You've got the former head of Google saying it, Schmidt. We're destroying the former economic order and bringing a new one in where they're in charge and it's authoritarian. Dan Lyman, at Citizen Analyst, straight ahead, Infowars.com. Well, there's the New York Times that Dan Lyman was just mentioning from 2 days ago. Fox in the globalist henhouse. Davos awaits Trump's arrival. Just a year ago, we can put it on screen. The crew found it. They had a headline about Trump era and the fight against globalism and how it's delusional and does it even exist. If you guys can throw that back on screen for TV viewers. There it is. Globalism, a far-right conspiracy theory buoyed by Trump. And then it shows a swastika and says media, and it's a guy wearing a Hillary for Prison Infowars.com shirt. Now, remember, let me see if my memory serves. I thought that was in February of last year. Can we put the date up? I like to, or not last year, now a year and 2 months ago. Punch that back up for me. I want to see what date that New York Times. Okay, November 14th. So I was thinking, wow, so I was wrong. That didn't come out after the election. That came out during it. See, my memory fails sometimes. That was a few months before. So that was right after the president was elected. I knew that. So then it goes on to say, I'm insane. Globalism doesn't exist. The globalists call their world government system globalism. They say a technocracy of unelected systems runs it. It's anti-human, it's transhumanist, it's post-human. I can quote hundreds of top globalists saying it. And then they go on and say, I'm crazy, it doesn't exist. What reminded me of that was Dan Lyman quoting some of the Davos people saying, we're getting rid of your existing capitalism. We're replacing it with mega rich, but you live in socialism. You're not allowed to join the capitalist system. I mean, you talk about the new class system. This is it. This is like the opposite of what people like Marx even envisioned, which was bad enough. So, yeah, the classless society, well, yeah, you have no class, but it's a total stratified society where globalists are the new royalty, offshore, tax-exempt, above the law, diplomatic immunity, on mountaintops, protected by the government, taxpayers, and into the midst of it, like a baseball bat into a beehive, comes the fox. And Trump does look like a big old red fox, doesn't he? and so a year later, a year and 2 months later, let's put it back on screen, they go, Fox in the globalist henhouse. I think, wait a minute. The New York Times, and he just tweeted it. We retweeted it, Real Alex Jones. Dan Lyman just tweeted, from the train up the mountain, New York Times adds, truth is more important now than ever. Hashtag fake news at New York Times takes out advertising. on all local trains around hashtag Davos, hashtag World Economic Forum. And Twitter will probably just ban it, but you can copy it, put it on yours before they do. You know, it is, or say it's a Russian bot. You know, just showing the New York Times saying their truth, that's a Russian bot. How about it says SH-T hole or baloney hole? New York Times, Bravo Sierra. Just make it classy. We should have our own New York Times ads. Well, I could have had fun if I went with a bag full of stickers like that. New York Times, Bravo Sierra. Kids like, what's that mean, Mommy? It means BS. So, Dan, you were getting into that before the break. Requote those people. And you know, Undersecretary of State Strobe Talbot. I mean, there's hundreds of these quotes publicly where they say, we're going to end the family. We're going to end free market. We're going to run your life. We're going to, and then they're going to live on jumbo jets and mountaintops and be tax exempt. And have Bernie Sanders go, I got 7 houses and a couple $100,000 cars and 10 million in the bank. White people don't know what it's like to be poor, Dan Lyman.
Right, and the New York Times says they want to talk about the truth and publish the truth. Well, if they do, the truth is out there. It's easy to find. They've been fawning over the global warming fixes that everyone's going to come up with this week. This is from 2015 Investors Business Daily, a quote from the, at the time, she might still be, was the UN's Framework Convention on Climate Change. She was the executive secretary, Christiana Figueres. She said, this is the first time in the history of mankind that we are setting ourselves to the task of intentionally, within a defined period of time, to change the economic development model that has been reigning for at least the last 50 years since the Industrial Revolution. If that doesn't tell you what the whole global warming agenda is about, I mean, the New York Times could easily cover this. It's out there.
And by the way, that model wasn't perfect, but if you study the British Empire, the Dutch Empire, the Soviet Union that was forming at that time, what the Germans and the Austrian-Hungarian Empire's core system did, and what was left of what the Spanish and Portuguese had set up, there was no existing order. That's why Hitler made a move for it, because there was no order. The British Empire was collapsed, was in retreat, financially and decadent and leaderless, and part Nazi. Look it up. The King of England was a Nazi. Edward VIII, he had to abdicate. And all the rest of it, they were going to have him be the king of the EU. That was a Nazi plan. And again, they go, oh, yeah, right. Look it up. It's mainstream news, okay? Can't make this crap up. And I'm like, cursed with knowledge, cursed with knowing this. It's fun to learn it, but then it's like you're talking to the public, and they think you're speaking Chinese to them or something, man. And I mean, yeah, there's the King of England with Hitler and his wife. So you're dealing with all of this. There's photos of him with his kids in the back of the car with Hitler. I mean, these people, he was German. But let me get back to what I was saying, because I kind of was the forest for the trees. You had America at the end of that coming in with the Bretton Woods Agreement and the system and doing some positive things. Yeah, there's Edward VIII of the Eagle's Nest. See, right there. And it just goes on. And then the globalists went, wait, we don't want America to just turn all these countries loose and have freedom worldwide and real economic globalism where we all just free for all do whatever we want. A bunch of companies got together like they always do and said, no. The plan of Hitler, and this literally happened, merged with the British Empire, will be a new economic system where we buy these countries off and take control. We'll use Western money to do it, and then we'll deindustrialize the West to leverage control and bring shipping and manufacturing to China, India, Mexico, and other areas. Then we'll leverage the West out and use that as an economic control arm to come in with absolute full control of the West. And that's globalism, and they wrote books admitting it. And Donald Trump said, you know what? This doesn't work. It screws people over. We're going to blow it up, okay? And it's so easy to blow up because it's so tenuous and so authoritarian and so unelected and so shadowy that, okay, I'm going to get us out of TPP that Obama signed secret. Boom, whole thing's blown up right there. The thing is, it's so secret that it counted on us never knowing it was there. That's how a year ago and 2 months, 14 months ago, the New York Times could say there's no globalism, there's no technocracy, it doesn't exist. And 14 months later, red alert! Ah, the Fox is in our main command base. He's in the Death Star. God, he's about to blow it. I mean, Dan, this is incredible. Their whole, can we roll the video in the background of the Wizard of Oz curtain scene when Toto pulls the curtain back? Because their greatest power was they didn't exist like the devil, but they did. And once we get people to admit they exist, game over, baby. Sorry, go ahead.
They're wounded animals now at this point.
There goes InfoWars. There goes the audience. There goes Matt Drudge. Look at Toto right there. Not big, not the biggest thing around, not trying to be cool, just dogged. And look what the dog does. I think InfoWars symbol should be a dog. I've been thinking about what our symbol ought to be. I think it's a sheepdog. It's a dog. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. I like the sound of that.
I know I'm ranting, Dan. I apologize. What do you? You heard my whole rant, though. It's true. They had to operate by stealth, but they wanted total control at the end, so they uncloaked their world government. We said, "Whoa! Everybody warned us about this. Bye-bye. No. I mean, how did they think this would ever work?"
And I think the awakening, it is definitely happening, at the voter level. But, even when you see kind of glimpses of it in what people are talking about, the article you just presented from the Telegraph about, we have to be cautious about these tech giants. I think there's an element of self-preservation that is awakening certain people in the upper echelons, in the elites, where they say, you know what? My family is not going to have a future at some point down the line, or my offspring, or even myself if things get too, weird enough. So I think there's an element of self-preservation that is waking certain people up within the globalist elite empire, and that's going to work against them as well, because then you're going to have people on the inside that are blowing them up. People like Ted Malloch, who has been working to do that for years. That's right. Dan Lyman, we're going to follow you tomorrow and right through Trump's incredible historic visit and the amazing tweets you're putting out. You are awesome. Yeah, translating the New York Times sign from truth to obey. That's what they're saying. We are the truth. We are the facts. No, you're owned by the corrupt kingpin out of Mexico, Carlos Slim, and the Washington Post. Welcome back. I'm Alex Jones, your host. I'm going to co-host some of the next hour with Roger Stone. And the War Room's coming up with Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone and others. I don't normally put out fake news on purpose. Obviously, we get things wrong sometimes, but I got cut off by the break. I was saying Carlos Slim, the Middle Eastern / Mexican kingpin who made billions off U.S. taxpayers running the Obama phone scam, he owns the New York Times. So when they put up full-page ads or put out these big billboards on the train saying, the New York Times, truth, it's really amazing humor. Truth is more important now than ever. Yes, New York Times, it really is. And then the jokes, obviously, are flowing with that. The New York Times, BS is more important now than ever. Or lying about WMDs in Iraq is more important than ever. Or saying Hillary had a 99% chance of winning in the lead-up. And the day of the election, it was just 98. And about an hour before she lost, it was like 70%. I mean, it's just made-up crap. We are the New York Times, an appeal to authority. We are, right now, 99% chance Trump will not be elected. And the New York Times, total proof he's a Russian agent. I mean, you've destroyed yourself. You're a joke. And then I got cut off. The fake news part was I was saying, and the Washington Post. It's not like I was saying Carlos Slim owns the Washington Post. I was going to say Bezos, the richest man in the world, who gets all his money off government subsidies, basically, is in an existential war with Trump and America and is just such a jerk. And I've just had enough, man. And he won't even pay for it, though. That's why he's so smart. He got $600 million with the Washington Post from the CIA to run the disinfo. And what do they call for? Banning me. I'm a Russian. I mean, this guy's got $110 billion, and he wants me shut off the air. And it's like, why? Because your eyes point different directions? Your mad mind points straight? I'm not mad at you. Your eyes point different directions, like a hammerhead or something, like a gecko. His eyes are like a chameleon. I mean, is he even human? I don't know. But get off my back, dirt bag. Ideas are bulletproof, jerk. You thought you'd launch all this, thought you'd all get away with it. Got your money, but your big system to screw us is over. And you're going to get your monopolies taken away. And if you keep pushing, you're going to get your ass handed to you. So just keep running your bug-eyed mouth, buddy. Anyways, Dan Lyman, tell us what else you're going to investigate while you're there at Davos in Switzerland. Trip by this Antifa house. I did find it towards the end of today. I'm just going to keep an eye on that. What I did find interesting was they have the Molotov cocktail theme with the Trump name on it and global war. They've crossed out warming, the end of warming. So I don't know if that's a signal to all of us that we should be keeping an eye out for what they have planned possibly for the end of the week.
Well, they call for violence against Trump, so you got them saying Trump, Molotov cocktail. Sounds like, that they're saying burn the place down.
Right.
I mean, that would turn the Davos into victims. They'd probably say Trump did it or something.
Yeah, they'd find a way to blame him. I live about an hour outside of Zurich, and there were already posters going up last week around town, basically in protest of Trump. And the local media was putting a lot of energy into covering the fact that people were protesting in Zurich and supposedly around the country that Trump was coming.
So is Switzerland the same, where the mainstream media is corporate whores? But you were telling me the people in general like Trump, though.
I would say that in general, I haven't encountered as much anti-Trumpism as I have around other parts of Europe. I lived in Iceland last year. I encountered that all the time, even just for being American. I put away the MAGA hat after the election. But here, it's not quite as bad, I would say, but definitely the local media is pretty lame. Like I was saying, it was the local Switzerland, the local, they cover, national news from each country. It's very, very lame news. But what I found very encouraging about living here is that the party in power is the Swiss People's Party. They're the one that have put forth this referendum, which some people are calling Swexit, to basically sever ties with the EU and close their borders. So I think that there is definitely a lot more hope for Switzerland than there is for a lot of the rest of Europe, at least timing-wise right now.
All right, well, we're on at nighttime for you every day, so we'll have you on every day as this unfolds, tomorrow, Friday, right through Saturday. We'll do some special transmissions. Dan Lyman, thank you so much for Infowars.com.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Roger's got huge news coming up. I just want to remind listeners of something. I get so excited. Most talk show hosts plug every segment, and they got all. And I could have all those sponsors too. I just don't like doing it. So we just sell books, videos, water filtration, air filtration, the highest quality supplements. But you need to go to InfoWarsStore.com for your own family. But plus for the InfoWars, so we can send Dan Lyman up that mountain. Because believe me, even the place we're putting him in is expensive. It is very expensive. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. Bodease, the ultimate turmeric formula, just came in this week. I think this is going to be one of our best sellers. If you don't know about turmeric, look it up yourself. The pollen block is now in as well. It's amazing. We've got the real red pill. We've got so much more. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. So it's a 60-day supply, a big bottle. It's the new Bodease. Find out about it. In fact, here's a promo piece I shot. We're going to premiere right now, and I'll come back with Roger Stone and give you the standard pitch for our new product, Bodease, which is the ultimate turmeric formula out there on the market from our deep research. The purity, the concentration, the quality, and the other synergistic organic compounds that are added to it so that it's bioavailable and gets into your bloodstream. I've got a big list of the facts here, and I guess I'll go over some of it for you. But here's the bottom line. Talking to Paul Watson about 2 years ago, I said, which of the products do you use and like the most? And he said, listen, what I really want is a turmeric product. He goes, you've seen the studies, you know what it does, you know what it's been proven to do, it's crazy. And I've read a lot of them out there are adulterated or watered down. I said, well, let me look into it. And so it then took us off and on several years to finally come out with this, because I want to bring you the very best product we can get. I want it to be what myself and my family take. And we've done it. Turmeric has been used for thousands of years for its known therapeutic effects and is the subject of well over 10,000 published scientific articles and studies. Plain turmeric root contains on average about 3% of the active ingredient, the curcuminoids. But our powerful blend contains turmeric extract containing 95% curcuminoids. Did you hear what I'm saying? Most of the brands out there are at 3% or less and are adulterated. This is 95%. Bodease Ultimate Turmeric Formula is also fortified with pepperine. Pepperine, many studies have shown, helps accelerate the absorption of the turmeric compounds, the curcuminoids in the body. Now let's get to Boswellia. Boswellia is a Ayurvedic herb that has been studied for its anti-inflammatory properties. In fact, the active ingredient, boswellic acid, has been shown in studies to inhibit one of the enzymes that actually cause the inflammation response. Bodease also contains the organic herbs, spearmint, sage, lemon balm, and thyme. As an added bonus, all of the ingredients we just listed contain very potent antioxidants. In fact, turmeric's curcuminoids are some of the most potent and naturally occurring free radical scavenging antioxidants available on the market. If you're a radio listener, you've got to go to InfoWarsStore.com and go to the Body Ease page so you can actually see the video the TV viewers can see right now. If you look at our turmeric product, it's bright yellow-orange, the way it's supposed to be. That's because the active compound in curcuminoids is orange. So again, it's not just the concentration, it's not just the studies we've done, it's not just the test, it's how vibrant and bright our product is. The recommended MSRP is $59.95 and is a great deal because of the quality and concentration. But out of the gates, we're offering Body Ease for 50% off, $29.95 at InfoWarsStore.com, so you and your children and your wife, your husband can experience it for yourself. And at the same time, you know you're funding the information war that is battling against the globalists and trying to restore not just our republic, but freedom worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited about Body Ease. I hope you will try it for yourself. It's exclusively available right now, out of the gates, 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. This is the ultimate turmeric product on the market from our research. It's at InfoWarsStore.com right now. And by the way, that's our newest product. I told you that the X2 at 40% off and the Secret 12 will be gone today. Nobody's bad, but that special is still up, which isn't good because it's going to be sold out for probably a month, and I want to sell some at the full price to help fund the operation. So that's what we do. We sell at really low price until it's about to sell out, and then we'll go back to regular price, which is fine. A lot of folks want to buy it at that to support us until more comes in. Now we're going to probably sell out of it. I won't have it for months, but that 40% off still up at InfoWarsLife.com because I was watching. They had the website up, and I saw it right there. So when I get off air, I'm going to the shipping department a couple miles away, and I'm going to get all that changed and all that dialed in. So you want that special as well. It's ending today. If I can get it done, InfoWarsStore.com. We'll be back with hour number 4. Please stay with us and please spread the links. You know, people ask me why I do what I do. I don't want power over people, and I don't want to have power, but I also don't want to be a slave. And so it's personal. The globalists want to screw me over, screw the West over, make me their slave, mount my head on the wall politically. I'm not going to put up with it. And the globalists had the New York Times 14 months ago say, globalism doesn't exist, it's made up, Donald Trump supporters are insane, Alex Jones is a liar. Until 2 days ago, they said, okay, globalism's real, Trump is the fox in the globalist henhouse, our technocracy is imploding. That is success. And thanks to Drudge Report and others, we're here, because I can track it. It was, I mean, just 10 years ago, no one would talk about it. But Drudge would link to some of our articles about Bilderberg, and the media would flip out, and then George Norrie would have me on. And I'd do hundreds of local radio interviews to get the word out. So I'm just giving credit where it's due in the history of this. We have come so far. And then now, meanwhile, we've got top linked on DrudgeReport.com, the reports that Watson's got from congressional sources and others and other journalists that have proven they've got their ear to the ground, that there was some type of conspiracy talking about physically taking the Trump out. Now the FBI agents admit that they deleted the messages. There's texts where they talk about deleting them. This is explosive. And I got to tell Roger Stone something. Roger, I'm worried about what these cornered rats are going to do. In my own gut level, but also spiritually, intellectually, the kind of internet of souls here, I pick up Danger Will Robinson. Yes, we're winning. It's gone from the wheels going off the Russia canard to it exploding like a truck bomb. But these people never give up. I think we're about to see. I think the president's in danger. I think we all are. They might set a nuke off. I mean, God knows what this rogue state's going to be. And I just think it's time to take the gloves off. Something we privately talked about that I know the president had discussed. I don't know if we can get into this, but you know, if they really make a move, I mean, we're already kicking their ass financially. We're already winning, you know, but they want to turn the table over. We can't let them do that. What are we going to do, Roger?
No, Alex, I think you're absolutely right. Look, as we have said here at InfoWars for some time, the entrenched political establishment had a plan A, plan B, a plan C, and yes, a plan D. Plan A was the Electoral College and a recount. That failed. Plan B was the phony Russian collusion claim and the appointment by a rogue acting attorney general, Rod Rosenstein, of a rogue special prosecutor, and now his entire inquiry has been stripped bare and exposed as the partisan hit job and the completely extrajudicial and illegal proceeding that it is. Then there's Plan C, the 25th Amendment. I have a long piece up at InfoWars about that. And now we come, sadly, and I think chillingly, to the potential of Plan D. Why have these email messages, these text messages disappeared? Because they entail a physical threat to the president. We now know that James Clapper, the NSA advisor under Obama, was looking for a way to stall Donald Trump's inauguration, to stop him from being sworn in with his hand on the Bible. And now, chillingly, we know what they were talking about and what they now seek to hide: a physical threat to take out the president. The deep state is capable of anything. Our history tells us this. We've already had 2 coups d'etats in this country, a violent one in the case of John F. Kennedy, a peaceful one in the case of Richard Nixon. And now the question is, what will they try next? They are capable of anything.
Oh, and don't forget Lincoln and the Ford Theater, and then was it Taft? Who's the other one that got shot by the bullet and then he died of blood poisoning?
It was Hayes, I believe. Rutherford B. Hayes.
Oh, let's look it up. I'm sure you're right.
Or Garfield. Pardon me. What am I saying?
Yeah, okay, good. You're right, Garfield. Okay, it's just a little same grouping there. So we'll be right back. Tomorrow's News Today with Roger Stone. Democrats have been caught scheming Plan D. I mean, Phil Mudd admitted it. They said we're going to kill him. Well, see what happens, buddy. All right, Roger Stone about to take over, but we have Phil Mudd, former counterterrorism head of the FBI and CIA, a Mueller protege, saying we're going to kill the president soon. You've got Clapper Brennan on TV with CNN correspondent and foreign affairs expert, military expert, Wolf Blitzer, saying we're going to get rid of him extrajudicially soon. You've got hashtag Hunt Republicans. You've got the attempt to kill the Republican leadership, the Patriot leadership at the baseball game. They're all buddies. You've got all this happening, but Congress knows they tried to kill him. And notice, as soon as they tried to kill everybody and almost killed Scalise and Rand Paul, suddenly Senator Ron Johnson, suddenly Trey Gowdy, suddenly Jim Jordan, suddenly everybody, Nunes, everybody took the gloves off, and now there's no more games here. You're not going to go away, Hillary. You want a war, you got one. And so we've got these astounding clips already played where they talk about the secret society, how they deleted the text messages, how they admit they have, how they don't have FBI informants who are FBI agents informing to Congress about this. I mean, do the calculus here for us, Roger. Trump now knows they're never going to go away, as I've told him many times. He knows that. He knows they're never going to stop. They're not going to go to Alba like Napoleon. They're not going to quit. They're dug in like Hitler in the Reich Chancellery, or, you know, with what happened with the whole narco situation down in Central and South America, you know, with those kingpins that wouldn't give up. They're not giving up. And now we've got the word from high-level sources. It's on drudgereport.com, Infowars.com, that they have been scheming a plan and that the missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against Trump and trying to organize it. I mean, man, I got to say, Mueller and Comey and them, these guys are crazy. I mean, I just can't imagine the chutzpah of this. It'd be one thing if the president was like a horrible guy, but I mean, the fact that he's a real American, they hate America so much and they love sucking off Hillary's, you know, pig tits so much that they just, CNN, all of them, they don't get it. We beat your ass, filth. We mopped your goddamn ass up and down the hall. We're going to crush you. We're never giving up, you sons of bitches. And if you want a physical fight, fill your hand, as I've told you. We know you're getting ready to start it. And if you think you're getting away with any of it, we're committed. This isn't talk. You know it's not talk. Roger, take over. I'm getting pissed here. I'm going to have to punch out here. Infowars.com. Go ahead.
Alex, thank you. Look, I think you're absolutely right. You'll remember just weeks ago when I gave an interview to TMZ, and I said that the American people will not stand for the illegitimate removal of Donald Trump through some bogus, trumped-up process. They're just not going to allow it. I go back to a stunning interview that Owen Schroyer did with a number of members of the Pipe Fitters Union. Let's be as clear as we possibly can, because the SOBs at Media Matters just waiting to pervert and twist our words. We do not advocate violence. We do not countenance violence. We are not proposing violence, but we will not be run over. We will not see our Constitution shredded. We will not see a duly elected president removed just because Robert Mueller and James Comey trump up some phony, process-oriented allegation against him. Earlier today on Fox, I heard a terrific interview with my friend, Judge Andrew Napolitano, who is sounding the clarion call. Under no circumstances should the president grant an interview with Robert Mueller. This is a perjury trap. Mueller is taking advantage of the fact that the president...
He's going to say no matter what, he finds it to be perjury. Exactly. And since you mentioned the violence of these people, here's a clip of Antifa shot out in California. And then there's hours of this with young women saying they want a utopia and a communist program to start killing people. And I know you're going to get to your whole point about Trump shouldn't meet with Mueller because the guy's a total fraud. I totally agree. But let's play this clip.
Hey guys, it's Fleckus. This week, we're at the Women's March. What is like the #1 reason that everyone is here? What brings you here today?
Everything.
Look at these zombies.
Basically everything that he stands on as a platform, to be honest.
I had this
What do you disagree with Trump so far?
Well, I worked for a tribe for a lot of time, so about 5 years, so a lot of negativity towards the tribes. I'm not down with that. And also, you know, just the bullshit.
What are you protesting Trump for?
You know, he's a conservative. I don't like conservatism.
I got ahead of people because of my position as
look at this
a
virtue
white male.
signaling.
I think that
my position as a white male, I agree I'm bad.
Power to say something like myself, and I think that's what's going to help change
Think how
things.
fake this guy
What does your
is.
sign say?
It says kill Donald Trump, and then it says kill Mike Pence, and then it says it's guillotine time, bitches.
He's like repealed all these sort of stuff that's supposed to protect immigrants in this country. It's like so hypocritical too. I mean,
we need any immigration reform though?
Hit pause real quick. No, she's got a Planned Parenthood shirt on, which you can all be for whatever you believe about birth control, whatever. Planned Parenthood is eugenics and was the main advisor to Adolf Hitler. So they're calling everybody Nazis, and she's wearing a Hitler shirt. Here, let's go back.
I don't want to speak on that.
What does it mean?
I think that we should kill Donald Trump, and then we should also kill Mike Pence, because I wouldn't want him in office either.
I'm not against an outsider per se, but I don't think that because you're an outsider, therefore you're qualified.
What do you think makes Trump very unqualified?
Well, he's never been president.
I'm not here to support like somebody's like capitalist, like trying to make money off of the struggles of women and like women of color and like people of color in this country. Like I'm actually upset. Like I'm like.
What is your ideal political or social structure?
Communist utopia, but I mean that's pretty hard to do.
I mean, they're just lazy girls, probably never had a job. Bozo the clown. We're gonna kill everybody. It's cute until
nice
the killing.
hair.
Until the killing, yeah, nice hair. Roger's Skype's breaking up. We're going to go back to him in a minute. But looking at this, here this guy goes, well, he's never qualified. He's never been president. He is president. He's more qualified that he ran the first time against all odds and won. But they don't even know. I mean, everything they say is a cliche, unintentional humor because these people are the biggest losers on the planet. And now they want a physical war with us and attacked our reporters all over the country. And they'll punch you, and you punch them. They freak out and call the police. They're literally in la-la land, Roger.
Yeah, that was an extremely telling video. She's for a communist utopia without knowing how many people that has murdered. Look, the left is in a tizzy, but as you've pointed out again and again, these street activities are the backdrop for a political takedown of the president. I don't think the situation could be any clearer. Robert Mueller seeks to euchre the president, to box him into some kind of obstruction charge, taking advantage of his loquaciousness and the fact that he's never a man that has a paucity of words. They know the case that they're structuring against the president. The president doesn't know. This is a suicide mission. This is a death wish. It's a setup. It's a trap.
I know you know that. I know you talk to the president occasionally. How has he been maneuvered into this fiasco?
Well, it hasn't happened until it's happened. Where we are now is his lawyers are negotiating with the special prosecutor. We're told that some portion of the interview might be live. Some portion of it might be in writing, responding to written questions. Here, I guess, is the point. When you look at the laws that have been broken by Mueller and Comey, they
No,
pale
exactly.
in
Why would you
comparison.
have Jeffrey Dahmer or Charlie Manson out of prison go interview the president? I mean, Mueller should be locked up right now for all the crimes and things he's done, not be interviewing our president. He's a Clinton stool attendant, a groom of the stool that worships Hillary Clinton's feces. I mean, that's what he does. He worships crime. He worships evil. His whole criminal operation's been caught. And he needs to go back into a rat hole somewhere and suck on Hillary Clinton's poisonous snake teeth. We'll be right back with Roger Stone. By the way, I just trolled the media right there. That'll be in the news today.
Welcome back. You're at Freedom Command Central. That's right. It's the Alex Jones Show. And sitting in for Alex Jones, your genial host, Roger Stone. I tuned into MSNBC last night, probably one of the 10 or 11 people who were watching, to watch Lawrence O'Donnell, who appeared not to be sober, go into a harangue against yours truly. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that he used my name 40 times in a 5-minute clip. And his objection, well, it was because I was quoted in yesterday's Washington Post as saying that under no circumstances whatsoever should President Trump grant an interview to Robert Mueller. I was disappointed to hear that Attorney General Jeff Sessions granted Mueller an interview, but then pretty much everything Jeff Sessions does disappoints me these days. But now it's absolutely clear that what Mueller seeks to do is to euchre the president into some process-oriented charge. In other words, having spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars in a sham investigation into Russian collusion, Mueller has produced no evidence whatsoever that the Russian state conspired, coordinated, or colluded with Donald Trump and his campaign, to affect the outcome of the 2016 election. But compared to some bogus, pardon the expression, trumped-up charge that Mueller might manufacture, let's look at the charges that Mr. Mueller and Mr. Comey and Mr. McCabe and Mr. Rosenstein would be facing. Violation of 18 U.S. Code 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Violation of 18 U.S. Code 871, threats against the president and successors to the presidency. Violation of 18 U.S. Code 1510, obstruction of criminal investigation. Violation of 18 U.S. Code 2381, treason. A violation of 18 U.S. Code 2384, seditious conspiracy. Violation of 18 U.S. Code 2385, advocating the overthrow of the government. Penalties for these crimes are quite severe. In some cases, they include capital punishment. So the game of chicken has begun. The president needs to recognize that he has the whip hand in this proceeding. He has the Justice Department. And if he had a cognizant, active attorney general who understood the breadth of this conspiracy, he would have the initiative. Unfortunately, there is still no evidence that sleepy Jeff Sessions will do his job under the Constitution. There is no evidence that he is ready to proceed. And therefore, in my view, the unsung heroes to date are Congressman Matt Gaetz, Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Trey Gowdy, Congressman Ron DeSantis. Thanks to these gutsy congressmen, true patriots, every one of them, the entire cover-up and partisan nature of Robert Mueller's bogus inquiry is stripped naked for everyone to see. How long will this charade go on? We here at InfoWars have been very clear in what we think is the right course of action. The president should fire Mr. Rosenstein forthwith. He has cause. The relationship between Rosenstein and Mueller, where Mueller gave Rosenstein his first position in public service, is a conflict of interest. Having dispatched Mr. Rosenstein, the president must give a direct order to his attorney general for the appointment of a special prosecutor in the matter of Uranium One. How ironic that Mueller, Comey, McCabe, and Rosenstein, the very four men seeking to remove the president, are up to their knees in the corruption of Uranium One. Uranium One, you can go to the Infowars.com site and see a 5,000-word piece that I wrote there outlining the etymology of this treasonous crime. This is the biggest, from a financial point of view, treasonous financial crime in U.S. history. And the role of those four gentlemen is absolutely clear. So the path forward here is obvious. The president has the power to save himself, to save the Constitution, to save the Republic, to save the results of the 2016 elections. Will he do so in time, or will he be lulled to sleep by second-rate lawyers who tell him to march into an inquiry with Robert Mueller that can only end badly? Today, my friend Judge Andrew Napolitano gave an incredible interview in which he outlined all of the reasons why the president must resist the invitation to essentially set himself up for an obstruction or a perjury rap. The fact that Mr. Mueller is now focused on the dismissal of General Flynn and the dismissal of Mr. Comey tells me that when it comes to Russian collusion, he has nothing. We have gone full cycle here, even though it has cost the taxpayers millions. Let me be absolutely clear. The president should fire Rosenstein. He should pardon General Flynn, and he should challenge Mr. Mueller. There is no better path forward. Again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, under no circumstances should the president submit to an interview with Mr. Mueller. Now, if you're enjoying the expanded programming here at InfoWars, if you like David Knight with Real News in the morning, as I do, if you enjoy the Alex Jones Show midday, and you're digging on the War Room with Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer in the afternoons, recognize that this expanded programming is only possible through viewer and listener support. We don't have any corporatist benefactors who subsidize our operations here at InfoWars. We rely entirely and completely on you. So please go to the InfoWars site now and look at some of the extraordinary specials that we are running. We've got several new products here that I really like, but first and foremost is Immune Wall. This is the very best immune, all-natural immune formula on the market today. And with the flu surrounding us, There is no better deal on the InfoWars site. Folks, go to the site now. We need your help. Welcome back. I'm your host, Roger Stone, and you're on the Alex Jones Show. We here at InfoWars are inordinately proud of the fact that we have been consistently bringing you tomorrow's news today. We have got a now long-established track record of telling you in advance what's about to break in the mainstream media. So it's no surprise that our longtime listeners have lost faith with the FBI. You know, when I was growing up, the FBI was revered as an honest law enforcement organization of extraordinary integrity. J. Edgar Hoover's book, The Masters of Deceit, was the textbook given out in the public schools to explain the dangers of communism and the way they sought to subvert our democracy. Well, today, sadly, thanks to Mr. Comey and Mr. Mueller, mainstream America no longer holds the Bureau in such high regard. A new poll released by Rasmussen, a respected survey research firm, shows that 49% of likely U.S. voters believe that a special prosecutor should be named to investigate senior FBI officials and their handling of Hillary Clinton and their abuse of Donald Trump. Only 31% of voters disagreed, with a staggering 19% undecided. As this story develops, I predict that the number of those seeking a special prosecutor or favoring the appointment of one will only grow. You heard it here first on InfoWars. We have been advocating the appointment of a special counsel to look into Uranium One for months. Again, InfoWars, tomorrow's news today. I can't help but chuckle to see Chuck Schumer, the glad-handing Sammy Glick of American politics, get some of his just desserts. Having virtually destroyed the credibility of the Democratic Party by staging a government shutdown in which, incredibly, he argued that funding for people in this country illegally was more important than the paychecks of our men and women in the front lines of military service, they now have so completely whipsawed the Democratic Party that the illegal aliens and those advocating amnesty have stormed Chuck's palatial New York City home. They no longer are satisfied with the extension of DACA, the so-called Defer Action for Childhood Arrivals, but now they are demanding full amnesty. I have 4 words for the dreamers. Not gonna happen. Not going to happen. That's 4 words. While the American people are undoubtedly the most generous people in the world, while we export billions of dollars in foreign aid to countries big and small, everything has a limit, including the patience of the American people. Our limit was reached some time ago. Now, let there be no doubt, we need immigrants. Our country was built on immigrants, legal ones that add to our society and become productive American citizens. That's why our country's immigration policies need to be revamped top to bottom. End these endless chain immigration, put an end to the H-1B visas that take jobs from our graduates. These are just a few things, a few fundamental reforms that we need. There can be no rewarding of illegal behavior while those who have gone through the process, who are going by the book, wait patiently in line for their citizenship. As for Chuck Schumer, I guess he didn't get much sleep last night as the protesters were chanting outside his palatial Manhattan apartment. If Chuck won't let us dream, we won't let him sleep. Well, you won't be sleeping much, Chuck. You made your bed. Now try to sleep in it. I do want to bring your attention to an extraordinary, there we have the protesters outside Chuck Schumer's palatial apartment. As we have reported, the president has named Jeff Berman as the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Mr. Berman, an associate of former mayor and U.S. attorney Rudy Giuliani, has a long and distinguished legal career and is eminently qualified for this position. But lo and behold, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand has put a hold on his nomination. Mr. Berman now serves in the position of U.S. attorney and can do so legally for 128 days before the president must either put his nomination to a vote, or I should say Mitch McConnell shall, or withdraw the nomination. Incredibly, Senator Gillibrand has announced that she will blue slip the nomination, and sadly, Chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, has announced that he will honor that blue slip. What is Ms. Gillibrand's objection to the appointment of an honest prosecutor in Manhattan? Well, quite simply, that Mr. Berman's law firm has done work for Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank has been a lender to the Trump Organization for their real estate projects. There's no accusation of illegality or nothing inappropriate. The sad truth is that Kirsten Gillibrand will oppose any appointment by Donald Trump for an honest prosecutor. Why? Quite simply, a first-year law student can take a list of Senator Chuck Schumer's contributors and his votes in the United States Senate and marry them. He is the greatest single recipient of special interest money in the U.S. Senate. Chuck Schumer, quite sadly, is for sale, and everyone in the U.S. Senate knows it. God forbid that a prosecutor might know it. And therefore, Senator Gillibrand, who is merely a sock puppet for Senator Schumer, thwarts the appointment of an honest prosecutor in Manhattan. Shame on you, Senator. Shame on you. We beseech Senator Grassley to ignore her blue slip, as he has done for a number of judicial appointments, and give the people an honest prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for Alex Jones. We have an extraordinary new program at the InfoWars store I want to tell you about. I'm wearing an example of it here, and that is our T-shirt of the Month Club. We're going to be releasing at the beginning of every month a terrific new First Amendment-oriented T-shirt. Believe me, these T-shirts trigger the libtards. They go ape when they see these. The single best reason I can think for wearing one to the local mall or when you're out bowling. So if you join the T-shirt of the Month Club, you get a 20% savings on each T-shirt, and you will be the first among your friends to sport the latest look. Simply order by the 1st of every month, and we will ship it by the 10th. And as an added bonus, Alex Jones himself will sign a random 10 T-shirts to show his support for the InfoWarriors and our loyal fans. The first T-shirt of this amazing program is the Won't Tread on Me shirt. You see it there in dazzling black and red. So get in on this terrific offer today. Sign up for the T-shirt of the Month Club promotion. You can help us. You can help the revolution. You can help forward our terrific investigative reporting. And remember, we here at InfoWars don't answer to any corporate master. We answer only to you. Go to the InfoWars store now. Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for Alex Jones. There's been much discussion in recent days about not only the 4-page memo, which Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee have stoutly refused to let the American people see, and the 10-page memo, which outlines the entire trail of treason and conspiracy that was revealed yesterday here at InfoWars. Now, Judge Andrew Napolitano, my friend of almost 30 years, has come up with a legal way for the American people to see what the Democrats are so anxious to withhold from the American public.
Committee votes to release it, and it seems as though there will soon be tremendous pressure to do so. And if it doesn't, I am suggesting that one of those members of Congress that you just ran on the screen should take this to the floor of the House of Representatives and release it there, because the Constitution protects anything that is said there. As Senator Feinstein did this with torture memos, these members of Congress should do it with this, because the rest of Congress and the American public is entitled to know. We put the Constitution in the hands of people to protect it, and they've abused that power. We need to know who the abusers were and what they did.
And there you have it, a brilliant analysis by Judge Andrew Napolitano. I first met Judge Napolitano when I ran the campaign of New Jersey Governor Thomas Kean in 1981, which resulted in the closest election in New Jersey history, decided by 1,208 votes out of more than 2 million cast. And Judge Napolitano, literally a distinguished lawyer, but not yet in public service, came to the fore as Tom Kean's attorney, one of his lead attorneys in that recount process. A great legal scholar, a great friend, and the man I believe that Donald Trump should put next on the U.S. Supreme Court. And he has proposed a solution. If Congressman Gaetz and Congressman Gowdy and Congressman DeSantis and Congressman Jordan fail to get the Democrats or a majority of the Intelligence Committee to make this information public, after all, hapless Adam Schiff argues it's too complicated for the people to understand, then one of them should surely read it into the public record. The American people have a right to know exactly what has transpired here and who has violated the Constitution and the law in an illegitimate effort to smear Donald Trump and his family and to illegitimately take down his presidency. In essence, trying to do what they could not do at the ballot box last November. You know, this would be funny, laughable, if it wasn't so outrageous. Roanoke College has announced that General James Clapper will be teaching a course on ethics. Yes, Clapper, the man who lied to the U.S. Congress under oath, perjured himself when he said there was no metadata collection program by the U.S. government. Clapper's lie was proved when the Edward Snowden, a whistleblower, came forward and exposed that this program was not only in existence, but it was robust. Why, you ask, is Mr. Clapper not in a federal penitentiary where he belongs? Why is there one rule of law for some, but not others? Let's be clear. This shaved head criminal belongs behind bars. He doesn't belong at the head of a classroom talking about ethics because he has none. James Clapper, a national disgrace. While we are on the subject, I must admit that the entire mainstream media silence over the missing text messages by FBI agents is somewhat shocking. You see, I'm old enough to remember the public furor over the missing 18.5 minutes from the so-called Nixon White House tapes. There was an immediate call for the president's impeachment. when it was revealed that 18 and a half minutes of evidence in the Watergate scandal had disappeared. Loyal Secretary Rosemary Woods took the rap for that erasure, claiming that while transcribing the tape, she had picked up the phone, inadvertently leaving her foot on a transcription pedal that controlled the dicta belt from which she was transcribing, erasing what many believe was seminal evidence in the Watergate scandal. Where are the mainstream media mavians now? Are Jake Tapper and Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper? Where is their outrage? Where is their demand for justice? What we actually saw yesterday on ABC, incredibly, was a complete twisting in which they said that the president's comments on this misstated the number of missing text messages and the period for which they are missing. Wrong. Read the story. Why is it coincidental that the Twitter messages, the text messages, go missing and at almost exactly the time that Mr. Mueller became the special prosecutor? Well, today, chillingly, we seem to have an answer. According to True Pundit, let's see if we can put that up, we now believe that what FBI agents were talking about was a physical threat against the president. Yes, they were talking about the A word, assassination. The American people have an absolute right to know what's in this material. And does anyone really believe that anything is erased permanently, that there is no indelible record at the NSA? I, for one, do not believe it. Let the truth be told. Let us see what's in the record. Now, before we leave, I would be remiss if I did not say yet again that Alex Jones has mapped out a really vigorous plan for the expansion of our reporting here at InfoWars. Not only do you have David Knight, who does a terrific job with the real news. I tune in first thing when I get up because I want to find out what's going on in the world. And David Knight does a phenomenal job of looking across the media landscape and curating the very best stories to bring us up to date on what's transpired overnight. Midday, of course, you have Alex Jones and his historic, legendary Alex Jones Show. Just yesterday, he made history by bringing our attention to a 100-page document that outlined the entire conspiracy in front of the FISA court. We now know from this document that there was an illicit attempt by the Obama administration to put the entire Trump campaign and Trump Tower under surveillance. And then, of course, you have our expanded coverage here at the War Room. Now, none of this is free, and we cannot continue this dynamic expansion unless you go to the InfoWars store and support what we are doing. If you look at the InfoWars store now, you have 25% off Brain Force Plus. This is still, despite my new love for Immune Wall, my #1 favorite product. Why? Because it enhances your mental acuity, your mental organization, your mental energy when you're putting in these long days. And at 25% off, that's a terrific price. And if you sign up for the auto ship program, you will never be without. I made that mistake once. I will never make it again. You can get delivery every 30 days, every 60 days, every 90 days at your request. The very best of the best, Brain Force Plus, now at the InfoWars store. Folks, go to the store now and help the fight for freedom.
outrage turns bloody in Berkeley. Our KPIX5 crews were right in the middle of the chaos as both Trump supporters and anti-Trump activists come to blows.
Protesters followed Trump supporters to their cars as they left the convention center. Around the corner and away from police protection on San Carlos Street, a mob mentality took over.
You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Yeah!
What do you say to the people who dragged a poor white guy out of a car and beat him?
Oh my goodness, poor white people, please, oh my, stop.
These were pure attacks. Trump supporters, men, women, even the elderly, left this building last night and walked right into danger.
This Trump supporter was the first casualty of the day, with blood streaming out of his face.
Pro-Trump and anti-Trump protesters got into it.
Throwing things at the guy who has a Trump shirt on. Oh, he just got knocked in the back of the head. He just got punched in the face. And now they're rushing him.
We're saying if you're out there and you're trying to represent your First Amendment right to free speech, if somebody comes and attacks you, it's your right to defend yourself.
It got ugly. Violence erupting at the event as fights broke out, fists flying between Trump supporters and anti-Trump supporters. It gets pretty ugly.
Yeah, I want to warn the folks watching at home, you're about to see some very violent footage.
Do you want to fight? You better believe you got one!
Organizers say today's rallies were meant as a show of unity against what they call a seditious fringe allegedly trying to sabotage the president.
You can see there a FedEx delivery driver jumping in to try to put an end to the protest.
You don't like, get the out.
It's the strength in numbers. I'll give it to you. Libs, you want to come out, you better be 100 of you against one of me, because that's what it's going to take.
This is the heart of 1776. You the one backing up.
Mike in Arizona, you're on the air worldwide. Go ahead.
Oh, Alex, you can rant any day of the week. Thank you, sir, for doing what you do and being a patriot and doing your best to save America and encouraging us as fellow patriots to do that in our local areas as well. And as a longtime InfoWars listener, I want to say thanks for the awesome Brain Force, Anthroplex. My girlfriend would like to say thanks for the Anthroplex, too.
Thank you.
I use the BioTrue Selenium, the Super Blue toothpaste. For you folks who aren't big normal toothpaste fans, the Super Blue is awesome. And thank you so much, Alex, for the InfoWars Life products. They are quality. I can't wait to get some more. And thank you so much for doing that for us to keep us healthy.
Absolutely.
Because then we could all, as educated patriots, help our other countrymen and women understand that there's a bigger problems going on, and if we can get our houses in order and be good to each other and ourselves, we can take our country back.